Desai, my screen sharing has been disabled. So if it can just be.
Yeah, can you do one thing?
Hmm?
You mail your, you want to show a PowerPoint presentation?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you mail it to me?
Oh, yeah.
Please mail it to me or NTC Secretariat. I will show it and then they'll display it. Yeah.
If you can just send me which email to send it to on the chat.
You can send me on NTC Secretariat
Okay.
from which we have done the communication with you.
Okay. 1 second.
Yeah.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, please check. You have a screen sharing option.
Yeah, that's what
I'm
I was hoping to control my
Okay.
slides. Yeah, it's working now. Thank you.
Okay. Nice. Nice. Yeah.
Good afternoon, all. So, Hasini ma'am, this is a request. Just let me know when to start. Huh?
Yes.
Once I get a green signal from you, I can start then.
Yes, I have to get some signal from Honorable Minister who is joining us, and immediately I will tell you. Yeah, sure.
Yes, 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 yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Good afternoon, Maya ma'am and Sahil sir. Do you have PPTs to present? So we need to see, we need to check the PPTs whether they are working.
No, I'll just be talking.
Ma'am, you're on mute.
Yeah,
Mic.
I just did. It's fine.
It's fine. Okay. And Sahil sir?
I'll be just talking, no PPT.
Okay, no problem, sir. Thank you. Thanks.
Preeti ma'am, we can start the session.
Preeti madam, we can start.
Okay, okay. We can start. Thank you. Thanks.
Join later.
Okay, okay. A very good afternoon to all the dignitaries, teachers, and the esteemed attendees of this third session of the fourth National Teachers Congress, MIT World Peace University. Today is the second day of this fourth National Teachers Congress, and this parliament provides teachers, educators, policymakers, bureaucrats a unique platform to come together and strengthen the education system. The sessions held yesterday put forth the views, opinions, and insights of many eminent personalities on various topics like successful implementation of National Education Policy 2020, National Research Foundation, Atmanirbhar Bharat, and so on. And the theme of today's session, that's very close to my heart because I belong to the same department, liberal education, liberal arts. I think somebody's phone is near to a speaker or near to laptop. It's a kind request to keep it away from the speaker or laptop. Is it clear to you all? My voice is audible?
Yes, it is audible. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a kind request. Again, I'm making this request that if mobile phones are near your laptops or PCs, you need to keep it mute mode, or it needs to be away from PC. Okay, thank you. So I was talking about the theme. Yesterday we had so many sessions there. We talked about implementation, successful implementation of national education policy, Atmanirbhar Bharat, and so on. So we got the roadmap yesterday for successful implementation of NEP and Atmanirbhar Bharat. And the theme for today's session, that is liberal education, liberal arts. So it talks about connecting threads across all disciplines. So how liberal arts, liberal education is different from others. And that is the theme of today's session. So liberal arts has become a buzzword in education segment today. A liberal education, that is a learning approach that empowers individuals and prepares them to deal with complexities or diversities and changes, we can say. Liberal arts is a structured combination of arts, biological and physical sciences, social sciences, and humanities. Aims to provide a learning experience that empowers students with the skills to deal with change, diversity, and complexity, to make them problem solver, critical thinkers, and responsible members of the society. Especially the liberal education is a holistic education fostered to encourage creativity and independent thinking among students. And this exactly is the theme for today's session. Here I request our technical team to relay the curtain raiser film about this session, liberal education connecting threads across all disciplines. Over to you, technical team.
आपका नाम क्या है?
As India is a young country, then its youth potential needs to be channelized. And the only way to channelize it is to provide the opportunities which will help the youth to not only become educated, but also skilled, employable, and prosperous. The new education policy gives an opportunity to get liberal education, where students will be getting many entries and exit points for the degree which they want to appear with flexibility. Liberal education allows and encourages a multidisciplinary approach in education. This multidisciplinary approach will provide all possible combinations from logical subjects to the performing arts. So, the students or the future generations will have various opportunities to select various combinations as their career. Let us discuss this now.
Thank you team. Friends, I'm very happy to share with you that we have the most appropriate panel of speakers to discuss various aspects of this fast emerging field, liberal education. We have with us Minister of Education, Government of Andhra Pradesh. He is going to join us very soon, but he is going to be the first guest of honor for this session. Then we have CEO and co-founder of Rishiwood University and co-founder Rashtram School of Public Leadership, Mr. Sahil Agarwal. Director, Teaching and Learning, Flame University, Dr. Maya Dole. So we have a very eminent panelist for this session. I welcome all the panelists for this session. Welcome you all on behalf of MIT World Peace University 4th National Teachers Congress. So let's capture now this August gathering in a digital format. So I request all the panelists to come on the screen for a photograph. Actually, this pandemic has brought a drastic change in all ways in our life, and today's virtual photograph is one of such changes. So I request all the panelists to come on the videos, come on the screen for a very good photograph. Thank you. Thanks for cooperating to preserve this wonderful memory. Thank you. Thank you once again.
प्रीति,
Yes, sir.
चैट बॉक्स में एक रिक्वेस्ट देख रहा था.
Yes, sir.
जो हिंदी में भी हो जाए ये चर्चा जो है. आप एंकरिंग अगर हिंदी में कर सकते हैं, अगर मेजॉरिटी अनलेस यू द होस्ट हैज म्यूटेड मी. मैं बोल रहा था कुछ.
अच्छा नहीं,
तो
I
जा
know
रहा है कि
4-5 sentences of you, sir.
अच्छा, एनीवे एक रिक्वेस्ट देख रहा था मैं, अगर आप हिंदी में भी बोल सकेंगे तो बढ़िया रहेगा।
Sure, sure.
और
Sure. I'll try my best.
सबसे पहले
Yes.
मैं अगर आज के पैनलिस्ट अगर कल नहीं थे, अगर है भी, मैं डेफिनेटली स्टार्ट करना चाहूँगा। उस पैनल आप होस्ट है, क्योंकि उनको बताना चाहूँगा हमारे पास डॉक्टर तामियो मिजुकामी जी हैं, और आई एम रियली हैप्पी टू सी हिम टुडे इन दिस सेशन ऑल्सो। कल से अब हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, वो भी हमारी हिंदी बहुत अच्छी तरह समझते हैं, इसीलिए अगर आप हिंदी में कंडक्ट करेंगे तो अच्छा रहेगा। मैं आपके ऊपर छोड़ता हूँ।
Yes, sir. Sure, sure. I'll definitely try, sir. Yes, thank you. So before we go ahead, I just want to ask Suhasini ma'am, whom should I invite and how we are going to go ahead? हम आगे कैसे जाएंगे, आगे का आप मुझे थोड़ा सा गाइड करेंगे, so I'll be able to go ahead. Yes.
I think when we are waiting for Honorable Minister to join, we will go ahead with Mr. Sahil Agarwal ji, and you can introduce him, and he will be invited to speak first, and then we'll take it ahead.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, जैसे सर ने बोला कि हिंदी दैट्स आवर राष्ट्रीय नेशनल लैंग्वेज, राष्ट्रीय भाषा है। सो राष्ट्रीय भाषा, राष्ट्रभाषा का महत्व तो सबसे अनन्य साधारण है। आई एम अ टीचर ऑफ इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज लिटरेचर, सो आई एम ट्राइंग माय बेस्ट टू स्पीक इन हिंदी। हिंदी मेरी थोड़ी इतनी अच्छी नहीं है, बट डॉक्टर पराशर मैम, हु इज अ डीन फॉर लिबरल आर्ट्स, फाइनेंस, मीडिया एंड जर्नलिज्म, she speaks good Hindi, so we have got a chance to talk to her in Hindi, so I'm going to try it over here, sir. Thank you so much. So आज के इस सेशन में मैं सभी का तहे दिल से स्वागत करती हूँ। हमारे साथ है माया दोद मैम फ्रॉम फ्लेम यूनिवर्सिटी, साहिल सर हु इज फाउंडर ऑफ ऋषिहुड यूनिवर्सिटी, एंड हम बात करेंगे आज इस सेशन में लिबरल आर्ट्स, लिबरल एजुकेशन, जो सबसे अलग है, जहां पे जो बाउंड्रीज है डिसिप्लिन्स की, आर्ट्स, कॉमर्स, साइंस, डिसअपियर होती है, और जहां पे सारे डिसिप्लिन्स इकट्ठा आते हैं, जैसे हम बायोलॉजिकल साइंस बोलते हैं, फिजिकल साइंस बोलते हैं, टेक्नोलॉजी बोलते हैं, इकोनॉमिक्स बोलते हैं। सो ईच एंड एवरी एस्पेक्ट ऑफ ह्यूमन लाइफ जहां पे इकट्ठा आता है वो है लिबरल आर्ट्स। नाम में ही पूरा आता है लिबरल, लिबरल इट मीन्स फ्री, सो इट्स अ फ्री एजुकेशन, liberal education, which is a very holistic approach of teaching learning that is followed over here. So मैं यहाँ पे पहले रिक्वेस्ट करना चाहती हूँ CEO and co-founder of ऋषिहुड University and co-founder Rashtraam School of Public Leadership, Mr. Sahil Agarwal, to talk about to address the audience about liberal education, liberal arts. So हम जानना चाहेंगे कि लिबरल आर्ट्स आज के जग में, आज के दिन में, टुडे, हाउ इट इज रिलेवेंट एंड हाउ इम्पोर्टेंट इट इज फॉर ईच एंड एवरी वन ऑफ अस. सो ओवर टू यू साहिल अग्रवाल सर.
Thank you very much, Dr. Joshi. It is a pleasure to be among dignitaries in the field of education, and I am very honored to be here. So this topic of liberal education is extremely interesting. It's sometimes we feel that it's a new emerging frontier in the field of education, but if we look at the very purpose of education, the very philosophy of education, and we ask ourselves this question that what is education, what is knowledge, then when we try to find out this answer, the most profound answer that I found till now is a Sanskrit shlok that says sa vidya ya vimuktaye, which means that knowledge is that which liberates. So it's not only a definition of education, it's actually providing us a foundation for liberal education. This is a shlok from Vishnu Puran. So when we look at it, the natural question that comes to our mind is that what is it that means by liberation? So it's one thing to say that there is a certain set of topics which have become liberal in their nature, but that is not the true essence of a liberal learning, a liberal education. What we are looking at here is, can we get that kind of education which makes us liberated from our own bondages and our own limitations? So that I would present to everyone as the first, as the basic, the purpose, the philosophy of why we are discussing this topic of liberal education. So the next thing that comes to our mind is that if this is liberal, then is there something which is illiberal education? And that is, when we start looking at our own education system, and that is when we come to this important topic of new education policy and how it frees up. Dr. Joshi was using this term in her opening statement, that if education is getting freed, there is some boundary that we have put on our education, and that is why this discussion of liberating it has taken precedence. So from an illiberal education, we are moving towards a liberal education, and this change, though we see recently, in India, it is in fact the very basis on which the Indian system of education was built. When we are saying that sa vidyaya vimukte, and if we look at how our ancient institutions like Nalanda and Takshashila were developed, how different vidyas were combined together in a Gurukul, we realize that this is the most time-tested philosophy and methodology of education that is available, not just to India, but to the world, including people like Socrates, including people like Aristotle. That is the kind of pedagogy that was used. It's a method of learning when we liberate it. So what kind of freedom are we looking for in education? There are some simple questions that come to our mind. One is what to study. There has to be a choice in what do we study. In terms of subjects, in terms of books, in terms of topics, in terms of degrees. So that is a change that has come to us, that I now don't need to be restricted to a stream. That if I'm in school, that I'm not restricted to be a commerce student or a non-med student or a med student or an art student. I can be just a student and I can choose what I want to study. Similarly, when I move to higher education, that time I don't need to be restricted that I'll be studying mechanical engineering, or I'll be studying commerce, or I'll be studying medical. There are some professions which need a specialization, which need a very particular technical training. So we have to definitely provide that kind of a technical training. But at the beginning, we also have to develop the mental, cognitive abilities of the student, of the learner. And that's where this liberal approach to education becomes very fruitful. The second natural question is, first was, what do we study? There has to be choice. Then second is, in liberal education, when do we study? These are also the questions that a student asks. So what to teach is easier to liberate from an institution's point of view, but when do we teach it? From whom do I study? As a student, I have to ask this question. When do I learn? From whom do I learn? With whom do I learn? Can I choose my peer group? Right? So where do I learn? Do I have to learn always in the classroom, or can I also go to the cafeteria? Can I also go and sit under the tree? And can I also go outside the university and do a travel project and learn from there? So these are the questions. And can I choose my own peer group with whom I think my mental wavelength matches, and with them I'm able to learn better? So these are the things that in our system we have not thought of so far. We did a small experiment recently. It's a course that's going on for faculty. We used psychological profiling based on the Ayurvedic principles of how a human mind behaves. And we are trying to train faculty members to keep that in mind while interacting with the students, because every student has a different learning style. Some are high on energy, some are passive recipients, some are connectors. So there are these different psychological profiles that every student has, and if the teacher is aware of what is the profile of what is the learning style that appeals to my student, then they can customize their delivery according to that. So that's another aspect of getting a liberal education, how we teach, right, based on the student. There is a concept that is gaining popularity, especially in the school education, and I think it should be brought to higher education also, called the integrated curriculum, or the phenomena-based education, right? Where we're not teaching a subject, but we are teaching multiple concepts through a particular situation or a particular topic. So it's very popular in Finland, and the world is trying to adapt that from Finland. We'll take a small example in the Indian context. Let's say we are teaching a school, a class 10 school kid about different topics we have to teach. So if we introduce, let's say, a traffic light in Delhi on a main road in Delhi, right? So we see that there is the situation of urban mobility, urban planning. That's one thing that we can learn. We can learn about the pollution and the environmental challenges. We can learn about public transport. We can learn about poverty and beggars and social problems. We can learn about how do we time the different lights, red, green, orange, and we can learn about algorithms and coding and mathematics. So these are so many different subjects that emerge out of a simple phenomena that is happening in front of a child. So that makes it not just interdisciplinary. That's because liberal is making it more multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary. Now that's not a superficial requirement that we bring subjects together and we have achieved liberal education. What we are really saying is that a phenomena is in front of us, right? And while looking at that phenomena, that is where we are trying to understand it and then learning. So we have a problem in front of us, or we have an opportunity in front of us, and that becomes a reason for us to learn, rather than saying that we bring science and maths together and that becomes liberal education. But that will not solve the purpose, because what we really want to do is liberating education, right? We want education that liberates. If liberal education again becomes a subject that we have to learn, then it will a few years down the line we will be finding more liberal education. So we don't have to go into that trap. I was reading a book recently called Range. I would recommend all the educators to read that book, Range. So that book talks of how can we the importance of developing a vast cognitive range. So our entire education system is designed so that we achieve expertise in a particular domain. And the research that author has done in Range is that the expertise in one particular domain actually limits us in our performance, because we soon realize that there are only specific situations in which we can apply that expertise. A lot of times the situations change, and we are seeing this more and more. As the world is getting more complex, our ability to repeat something that we have done in the past is getting limited. And if our only strength is being able to repeat what we have done before, or execute what we have learned before, then our growth will be limited. What we have to really try is, can we get knowledge which is transdisciplinary? And there's a term that they use for it is called far transfer. So one is, I learn physics and I can apply that physics to electronics. That's like a near transfer, that I learned a particular subject and there was a related subject, I could apply that knowledge to that subject. But there is a far transfer. I learned the principles of mathematics and I can actually apply that to solve behavioral economics problem of society. So that's the kind of far transfer that we are looking at in the current world. One of the aspects of our curriculum that we use in our institutions is called meta skills. So we generally there is a huge requirement of skill-based education, right? Because we're facing the problems of livelihoods, of unemployability. So we definitely need skilled people. But for a certain segment of education, which is like the more privileged students who can actually come to a college and a university, who are looking for a white-collar job, what we need to make a move from a skill to a meta skill. A meta skill is something which is a skill behind a skill, which gives us. So the situations will change, the context will change, but can we apply our abilities to that changing context? So a skill that remains relevant in a changing context. So for example, one of the most important skill is learning to learn. That has become a fundamental skill in today's world, because we can't rely on what we learned earlier. We have to learn how to keep learning, and we have to generate a desire, an interest, an ability to learn for the rest of our life. So that's kind of a meta skill. So that's an approach that educators we can take, and it's not necessary that we have to redesign our entire curriculum for that. I mean, some shifts in the curriculum are definitely a part of it, but a lot of it is also how we are delivering the curriculum. What are the kind of examples that we are taking in our classroom? What are the kind of projects that we are encouraging our children to take up? What are the kind of internships that are doing? And what is the kind of mentorship that we are able to provide them to synthesize all this, that they can relate knowledge from one area or learnings from one area to the learnings from other area. That is when education becomes more liberal and more liberating. So as teachers, I mean, to implement all this, what kind of teachers do we need? We have to make a very important shift from being a knowledge provider to a kind of a life mentor, because we really have to understand a child, a student, a learner, and then act according to his or her requirements. Because we all know that now the information that I have as a person, much more information is available to the student online. So my knowledge has become irrelevant. My ability to encourage that knowledge or to ignite that knowledge, to ignite that spark of learning in the student, that is what is becoming more important. So what kind of institutions we will need? We will need institutions which can facilitate this kind of an ecosystem. So an institution, rather than a physical infrastructure, we need to become a place of learning, where one, if one associates to an institution, the person feels like they have to learn more. They feel a joy in learning, whether it is a faculty member or a student. And what kind of students do we need? We actually need students who are ready to explore their full potential. A major responsibility of this lies on the students, because if the student feels that they are getting education for a career, then however liberal may be our education, what they will receive is only focused on their career. But if we really want to provide them liberal education, and we want to ensure that they have received liberal education, we have to open up their minds that the world is, our objectives or purpose of life is much beyond. And if we have to live a great life, what we have to really do is to achieve our own liberation, as in our own freedom from any kind of bondage do we have. So that is when our education will become truly liberal. So a goal of education is always related to what kind of society we want to build. And if we want to build this kind of a joyous, free, liberal and prosperous society, then this is the kind of education system that we will need to design. So my closing remark will be that let's not limit liberal education to curriculum. I mean, that would create the same problems that we had earlier in our education system. Let's look at liberal education as a way of life, as a purpose of education, as a philosophy of education. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sahil sir. It was really very informative session. We really got to know what exactly is liberal education in a very short and crisp way. You have described it when you said, when you want to make or create a society who is truly liberal in sense, joyous society, then liberal arts education plays very important role in that. And in your speech, you actually have given us 2-3 very good concepts. I would say far transfer of knowledge. That's really very important, because the traditional education system, if I'm learning maths, I won't be able to go ahead with literature. I can't enjoy the beauty of math. That's why it is said that if you enjoy sonnets, then you can't play with the numbers. So now that needs to be discarded, and free flow or free hopping from one stream to other stream, that should be allowed for all the students. So far transfer of knowledge, transdisciplinary, then meta skill you talked about, life mentors you talked about. These really are very important concepts which play very important role in liberal education and liberal arts. Thank you very much, sir. And before I go ahead for the next part of the session, I really wanted to talk about you, because when you said meta skill, I can see it in your resume, in your brief biodata, that you are from engineering background, then going towards some management and other streams. So I really would like to talk about your brief bio, which I have received. So I'm happy to share that with you all. Sahil Agarwal sir has a BTech degree Indian Institute of Technology, IIT Delhi. He studied MA Diplomacy, Executive Masters for Working Professionals at Jindal Global University. He has also been a visiting scholar for urban governance at Indiana University, Bloomington, United States of America. He has co-authored a book on public policy, co-designed a card game on politics, and keeps writing for leading publications. Sahil Agrawal sir is a social entrepreneur and educationist. His passion for creating impact and positively contributing to society has resulted in foundation of institutes like Rishud University and Rashtram School of Public Leadership. He volunteers on policy matters as the co-chairman of the National Education Committee at the PhD Chamber of Commerce and the Industry, and a member of National Committee of Design at the Confederation of Indian Industry. Thank you very much, sir, for all your insight and for all the inputs which you have talked about liberal arts. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Preeti, I would like to jump in here.
Yes, sir, please.
Yeah.
Hindi, sir, I'm so sorry.
कोई बात नहीं. तो लोग एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं कि आप हिंदी में बोलेंगे जबकि आप महाराष्ट्र से हैं.
Yes, sir.
मैं तो मद्रासी हूँ, मेरी मातृभाषा नहीं है, कभी हम स्कूल में पढ़े नहीं है, फिर भी हम हिंदी में बोलने की कोशिश करेंगे जबकि पता है कि बहुत सारी गलतियां होती हैं हमसे.
Yes, sir.
आपका जो सीवी देख रहा था मैं, एज अ ग्रीडी और सेल्फिश वाइस चांसलर, I would like to extend an invitation to you to come and teach with our School of Government and School of Public Policy. This is an open invitation, open blank check for you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rao. My privilege.
We would like to have you on board, and then please do help us. And we have a School of Public Policy also, School of Government also, and whichever way you would like to contribute, this is an open invitation to you.
Thanks a lot. Absolutely an honor. Thank you.
Preeti, on to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. So as I said in the beginning, topic of today's or theme of today's session, that is liberal arts, which is binding or which is crossing all the boundaries, or all the disciplines are putting together in liberal education. So we really have got a very apt panel members for this session. Now going towards the next part of this session, we do have amongst us Dr. Maya Dodd, who is Director Teaching and Learning, Flame University. She belongs to liberal arts. So before I request her to discuss or explain or share her thoughts with us, I would love to go ahead with her brief bio, which I have received. So Dr. Maya Dodd received her PhD from Stanford University in Modern Thought and Literature. Subsequently, she received postdoctoral fellowships at Princeton University and JNU, India. Her dissertation, Archives of Indian Democracy, focused on technologies and witness since the emergency of 1975 and 77. Her research interests include digital humanities, South Asian studies and cultural studies, and her teaching is focused on the digital classroom and archiving practices. Since 2007, she has been at Flame University and currently serves as the Assistant Dean for Teaching, Learning and Engagement. Her work has appeared at chapters in edited volumes and journals such as History and Sociology of South Asia, and contributes to Indian sociology. She currently serves on the steering committee of Dharti, the Digital Humanities Alliance for Research and Teaching Innovations, which is an initiative towards organizing and facilitating digital practices in arts and humanities scholarship in India. Ma'am, I do request you to guide us with your views on liberal education. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Preeti. I'll just share my screen and
Yes,
thanks. Okay, so thank you, Mr. Agarwal. I think you really, is this visible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. You really helped sort of locate, my conversation. I wanted to kind of move on from the general setting that you have outlined for us. And already in the chat, there was a question, which is what is the difference between liberal arts and liberal education? So very simply, I want to begin sort of at this point, right, in the 20th century, with this story of how we associate liberal education with American education. And the reason for this is because the lineage that was started, of course, in the ancient Indian universities in Nalanda and also in ancient Greece, has sort of been now associated with the American style of a very flexible education. And an example for this I will give you with regards to Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, who, when he was at Columbia University, studied, and I actually couldn't show you his transcript, but in any case, about 29 courses in economics, 11 in history, 6 in sociology, 5 in philosophy, 4 in anthropology, 3 in politics, and of course, languages, French and German. Now, clearly, at that point in time, the university itself was not so restrictive in the way that we now associate that you have to enter knowing what major you will have, what subject are you getting a degree in and stuff. At Flame University, I think we were very, very lucky to have the chance to start, ever since I joined in 2007, with this program in liberal education. Why do we call it liberal education? Because it's not a derivation of the liberal arts idea, but it's a very kind of, it's a philosophy really of offering certain keystones in a student's education at the undergraduate level. The main thing about liberal education, and I'm sort of responding perhaps preemptively maybe to the question, is that liberal education is actually about lifelong learning. So you're not preparing somebody for a job or one degree or one specialization, but really you're saying that somebody with a very strong foundation should be able to go on in life to adapt and to learn new things as they journey on. So in terms of, what we call core courses, right, we sort of seek to embody those core values through certain courses. These are our core courses at Flame. And these are sort of, in a sense, yes, they're skills, but they're life skills. So whether it's the ability to write or to compute or to even sort of engage, right, with a critical and an ethical mind, is not something that you can just teach, in one semester. You're essentially orienting a student to adapt to this style of thinking. And so given that story, of course, right, there is the need for the student to be at the center of this entire journey. So when we say connecting the dots, what we're basically saying is the student is the captain of their ship in terms of stitching together what these different courses etc could offer, but really towards finding a sense of purpose. Now, to do that, obviously faculty also have to be prepared to impart that kind of training. And so I wanted to sort of very briefly in this description go over the ways in which we have maybe experimented with certain things, and the ways in which we have used other references to situate our own curriculum. So essentially, the civic skills that we are very, very interested in imparting, which I think is really the cornerstone, as Mr. Agarwal also mentioned, education is about building a certain kind of citizen, right? That these skills include inquiry, critical thinking, problem solving, ethical reasoning, and such. In the liberal arts concept, this is called a service learning. And service learning often is that a course or a series of objectives in the college curriculum link up to real world experiences, meaning that a challenge, let's say, that an NGO faces becomes part of the curriculum in the college classroom. So you actually kind of click the real world problem to the learning through trying to create a solution. In the same sense, giving students flexibility to identify what is the sort of question that captures their imagination is perhaps one of the greatest ways to motivate. So in every sense, this need for engagement is very critical, not just for society to benefit from education, but also for students to have an ability to look at the bigger picture. As we know in colleges already in India, and I think this was very well said, we can't totally change the curriculum in the way it currently exists, but how do you plug in aspects that will make the curriculum far more robust across different majors? In, for instance, the case of the business school, right? Flame is a business program at the undergraduate and postgraduate level. The idea of signature work is very important in terms of the understanding of what is a high impact practice. So essentially, what we see here are ways in which you can engage students in the first year across common experiences. And these include things that are, collaborative assignments, research projects, service learning, capstone project courses and projects. So across the sort of 3 to 4 years of a student's undergraduate career, the hope is that these practices are about sustaining interest and also evincing kind of an authorship, right, to the story of the student's career. The way we kind of work this out is through 3 things, and the third one, of course, is most relevant in our times. But the first 2 really, the values rubrics, which are available at the American Universities and Colleges Association website, lets every teacher cross-check the values that they are imparting through the course that they are offering. So the values rubrics are important to sort of recognizing if your syllabus in some sense is touching all those bases. This, of course, is beautifully also linked to outcome-based education, which is a mandate by the UGC. And outcome-based education really is also about what did the student get at the end of this course. when we stitch this together with the multiple exit options that are necessary for, according to the NEP, the idea of what outcome and what skill set is, I think, most critical. Additionally, now we are also facing a world in which blended learning is definitely a challenge, and the need to, I think, leverage the best of what technology has to offer is part of our, sort of challenge today. I think, this has been an exceptional year, and many of us are wondering, right, where are we going? Are we going online? Are we going to have virtual universities? Are we turning into robots, in terms of being on the screen? So really, I think the question of the future is really also what's driving the present in every sense. And the skills that employers are seeking, right, in the 21st century is something that this survey actually captured. So regardless of where we wish to go, the job prospects as well as current employers are very interested in seeing these skill sets, be sort of imparted to students. So to very simply summarize what these skill sets were, the core sort of crux of this was the ability to work in teams, collaboration, problem solving, initiative, right, adaptability. These are actually the sort of outcomes of a liberal education. So it is not really just one course or one skill set that one is imparting, and I'm going to just put this out here to show you the range of courses that in a sense collectively afford this, ability to impart these skills. They range from anything from environmental policy to folk traditions, cyber cultures, digital analytics. The content in a sense is irrelevant, but the ability to work across teams, to solve a problem, to think ethically, right, comes through in pretty much, any offering that there is in the university. Also, given the sort of multiple exit options that the UGC and the new NEP really are emphasizing, it's important that we really think through how this quilt gets stitched together with each one of these tiles. At the end of this entire process, right, there's a common experience across, liberal arts colleges in the US, where students create what's called a brag sheet, and they're bragging about their skills, but also their experiences. And in this case, it's a combination really of their areas of interest, but also what are the sort of tech tools that they can deploy, what have they created really as, at the end of this, like you call it a show reel, right, with a film student, but really we're not thinking of transcripts anymore, we're thinking of portfolios. So towards sort of generating that, the idea really was that this be learner-centric and it be meaningful in a context which is highly volatile, as we know, so that we don't assume knowledge is the delivery of content, which is where we've come from, but we understand that the environments that we now live in require, ownership by the student to take things forward. So I appreciate your attention, and thank you so much for letting me have a chance.
Thank you very much, ma'am. It was indeed very informative. We really got to know what liberal arts is, how it is different from traditional arts courses or traditional education system is, and difference between liberal education and liberal arts too. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thanks a lot. And here, as we can see in the chat box, a number of questions are there for liberal arts, liberal education. So with the permission of all the dignitaries, I would love to go ahead with those questions, because this is really very new term, because when we also counsel and talk to the parents for liberal arts who really wants to take admission for liberal arts courses, so it's very important for us to let them understand what exactly is liberal arts education is and how it is different from other traditional courses, what exactly the benefit they are going to get. So basically skill development, holistic development, all these are these concepts really workable in liberal arts, because its structure, design, pedagogy, evaluation, everything is very different from traditional courses. So to make a society joyous, as sir said earlier, joyous and liberal society, if you want to create, we really we really make the efforts to society and parents understand what liberal arts education and what liberal arts is. So here a few questions are there with me. So I'm putting forth those questions. So I would request Maya ma'am and Sahil sir to express their views and insights about those concepts and questions which have been put forth by I think we have more than 300 participants here, we can see, and apart from that through Facebook and YouTube. N number of participants are there who are watching us, who are listening us, and they are also sharing their questions with us. So all these questions are there with me. One by one, I'm going to go ahead with that. So first important question I feel here, it is asked by one of the members, Dr. Joshi. What are the new skills the teachers require to acquire while shifting from rigid regular curriculum to multidisciplinary undergraduate education? So curriculum shift, I am repeating the question. What are the new skills the teacher required to acquire while shifting from a rigid curriculum to multidisciplinary undergraduate education? This is the question, first question which we have received.
Thank you, Dr. Joshi. So, very important question, because teachers are the pillars of education. My first thing on this would be that before a skill development, it's a mindset change. So we have to actually move from thinking that we are here to provide a specific subject knowledge to the student. We have to do away with that mindset and be in a mentor mode. I think that's absolutely critical, because teachers have to realize that whatever we were teaching till now, all that is available and in a far better quality on the internet. If we don't redesign ourselves, then we will become outdated very, very soon. Sooner than we think we will. So that's the first thing. In order to integrate, I think we should look at every subject that we are teaching from a very from a personal context. So if I was to learn that topic, the way I am teaching that topic, is this the best way I would learn that topic? So I think that's a question that we have to put always in front of us, that these students are sitting in front of me because the timetable tells them to sit in front of me, or am I really doing something which the students would come here and sit on these chairs? So that's it's rather than learning something. I'm not giving a suggestion that we develop our teaching styles, we develop our communication styles, we learn how to do PPTs, we learn how to do online video recordings. All that will come. It will come naturally when our interest generates in spreading knowledge. So that is more of a mindset shift that I would encourage.
Yes, that's great, sir. That's very true, that we need to change our mindset. Basically, as you said, we need to see if I had been a student, would I have enjoyed learning these things from our teacher. So we need to understand the perspective of student, and in that direction, we need to see how we can go ahead. And absolutely right, or agree with you that everything now, Google Baba is there, everything is available on Google. So students are more prepared than teachers. So if you don't understand, don't learn the contemporary theories or modern concepts, we'll be outdated. So we need to develop ourselves in that direction also, and we need to look at teaching from the perspective or point of view of students. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes.
Thanks a lot.
Can I ask one question, Preeti?
Yes, sir. Yes, please.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah, please, ma'am.
Yeah. This question is to Sahil sir. Basically, all the teachers base their teaching on their own learning experience. And most of the teachers do not have any experience or any formal training in teaching learning process. Now, as I see in the CV, Mr. Sahil Agarwal has also done a formal education in engineering from IIT Delhi. So this shift from very compartmentalized formal engineering education, that mindset, to a very liberal, open-ended education style, what was your experience? Can you share that?
Thanks so much, Suhasini ji, for asking that question. That allows me to elaborate on what kind of education we had at IIT. So I want to emphasize that this is not new to India. This has been happening in IIT, and IIMs are an example of doing that. So what was my education? I hardly had classes of 18 to 20 hours in a week, right? So a week is 7 days, and only 20 hours of classes every week, right? And out of my 180 credits that I studied in 4 years, engineering credits would be, I think, 120 or 130. So roughly 30% of the curriculum was outside engineering. I studied economics, I studied philosophy, I studied literature, I studied psychology, I studied environment, atmosphere. I mean, so many different things that were available to us. Now IITs are big institutions, so they have so many faculty members, so it's possible for them. But now with the choice-based credit system, I think any institution can do that. The third aspect is most of my learning, or not my learning, anyone's learning at college happens outside the classroom. And that is where an institution like IIT provides so much. Like there are clubs, there are societies, not just hobbies, I mean in music, dance, but there are also debating, quizzing, drama. Then there are groups. Most of my development happened as a volunteer in some of the social clubs that were there. So that is how a liberal education is taking shape in an institution.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. As you said now, that multiple subjects were there apart from engineering. You studied philosophy, environmental studies, then it might be one of the languages also might be there. So it's a combination of multiple disciplines together when you are learning engineering. So in the same direction, one question has been asked, and that says that how challenging will it be to prepare workable combinations of various disciplines of study to be introduced to students? So how we are going to decide the combinations, how it is feasible, how it is possible, how we can decide that? So that is the question put forth.
Dr. Maya, would you like to take that? You have been doing this at Flame.
Yeah, I have to say that is the toughest part. The scheduling is the biggest nightmare, So, there are certain things that, we have to assume, and they're not correct assumptions often. But let's say that when you're looking at a subject like finance, we don't often, let's say, combine it with literature, right? In the sense that because our scheduling, we have 250 plus major minor combinations. Right? Ideally, everything should be equal to everything, but it doesn't work that way. So in terms of the 250, that's as maximally as the schedule can accommodate it. But we have things like open minors where, you don't have to declare a minor, but you can take electives from other subjects and such. So the idea of flexibility thus far has been dominated by classrooms, teacher resource, and real time. In a more kind of, hybrid model, maybe we will overcome this also going forward. So, that's good. Yeah.
Okay, you want to add anything to it, Sahil sir?
No, I totally agree. I think one of the limiting factors is the issue of scale, because unless we have a certain number of faculty members, a certain number of students, these choice-based things don't work. So our approach at our university is that we are one of the educational providers to the student. We are not the only education provider, right? So we have to really partner with institutions, and we are talking to institutions within India. Most of the times when we talk of university partnerships, we think of partnering with UK or US, but we want to partner with universities who are within India, because different universities have excellent faculty members in particular subjects. So why not we provide our students the opportunity that if they want to go for a semester exchange, go within India? Why look for outside? So that's one of the method to solve this problem of increasing the number of choices.
Okay, great. Wonderful. In the same line, I think we at MIT World Peace University are doing the same. We have multiple schools under one roof. We have School of Pharmacy, we have School of Management, Fine Arts, Performing Arts, Mass Communication and Journalism. So we have that advantage now. So we are pulling up all opportunities from their schools and putting it under liberal arts. So whatever resources you all talked about, now they are available at MIT World Peace University. So we are in the position now to give maximum options available for the students. So that's great to hear from you, ma'am and sir. Now, next question which comes to liberal arts, when we always say that it's a bit different from traditional courses. So what different pedagogical methods or teaching methods can be used for liberal arts, and what evaluation method should be used? Because in traditional method, generally we go for pen paper method presentations. So these are the only methods majoritively used for evaluating or assessment. So in liberal arts, what will be the best pedagogical tools or pedagogical methods, and what new or different evaluation systems, assessment systems we can go for? So this is next question. So Maya ma'am or Sahil sir, please.
Yeah, I'll definitely love to answer that. The truth of the matter is, I mentioned this thing called service learning, right? And service learning is modeling a real world problem. And when we say that the learner should be motivated, the idea is that you're motivated often by something that you perceive as something you can help, sort of with. So whether it's and I'll tell you, like we have a program called the Development Activities Program. So students intern with the NGO for about 8 to 12 weeks. The most common thing they ask them to do is help them build a website, kind of improve their, social media presence, those sorts of things. These are skills that students anyway have. young people have. And so whether it is sort of thinking in terms of project-based learning, meaning you ask students to create projects rather than to just submit or just do a final exam, right? That sort of actually makes the learning much deeper. And often the end product is actually reusable in a public domain. So whether it's a public website or a podcast, or other sort of forms of even films and such, are very, very useful for all kinds of reasons. So to be more creative about assessment, I think, has been our challenge in India specifically. But with all these tools out there now, hopefully that will also change.
Dr. Preeti, can I come in?
Yeah, please, sir. Please.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
My appeal to Mr. Agarwal, sir, Dodd, madam, that myself, Dr. Chitnis, I'm Pro-Vice Chancellor of MIT World Peace University. And when we are doing this discussion, my question to all of us, including me, are we liberal to collaborate with each other? That is Rishihood University, Flame University, and Pune MIT World Peace University when it comes to liberal arts programs, exchange of students, writing SOPs or short-term programs, so on and so forth.
I think we must, because if we don't, then we have ourselves limited the options of our students, and that is an illiberal approach to education. So we must do it, and we must do it quickly.
Absolutely. And I was thinking, even in the US, colleges have a single platform for application where you literally sort of give that one exam, and it's, or not exam, but it's a single portal that would admit people to any of those universities. I think we are not thinking in a national ecosystem fashion yet, but hopefully, again, there is more reason to look now local than global in that way. So, people can't travel and all kinds of things. But the focus has been too much on study abroad and those sorts of experiences at the expense of local connect. So now I hope that, that also can be challenged.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. So there is a chance that we can have our connections and we can keep this collaboration ahead. Thank you. Thank you, Chidni sir and Sahil sir and Maya Dod ma'am. Going towards the next question, that scope. When we complete our graduation or post-graduation, always there is employability. That question comes in the mind of students. So what after liberal arts? That's the question put forth by, I think, one of the students might have put it, who is witnessing or who is watching this NTC, a part of this NTC. What is the scope after liberal arts? That's her question. Ashwini Paigude, this is the question came from her, Ashwini Paigude. She's asking, what is the scope of after liberal arts?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's a tough question because, see, most people, if we are saying find your purpose, right? There's a range of purposes. There's not one job at the end of so many purposes. Traditionally, even in India, after a college degree, you don't get the best job. You do another degree after that, or that sort of thing. A lot of our students go on to higher education in terms of doing a master's and such. But I can also say this with a lot of conviction that many of the jobs they are now placed in did not exist 5 years ago. So this sort of understanding that they are actually inheritors of a new world, where their skilling is not just about the skill, but it's about, as I mentioned, a mentality and the ability to think or connect things. So if a student has done psychology and mathematics, right, to understand how consumer behavior is using analytics, but it also requires an understanding of human nature, is what produces a different kind of employee in the world of advertising. So I hope that, people are very sort of, I think, attentive to the reality that the jobs of tomorrow are not the jobs of today. So sort of think in this linear sense, right, that we will know exactly what they land in is not truly the way it goes on.
Yes.
I'll add to this that we have to make a distinction between liberal arts and liberal education, as Dr. Maya was also saying, because ऐसा नहीं है कि employability problem engineering में नहीं है. Engineering is a very career oriented discipline, right? But we face a lot of employability problem. Why? Because the way we are teaching engineering is not liberal. So similarly, if we teach liberal arts in an illiberal way, then we will face employability problem in liberal arts also, because the career depends on my abilities. It's not depending on the subject knowledge that I've got, because that subject knowledge became obsolete even before I started studying. So we have to make this important shift between a liberal approach to education and liberal arts.
Okay, great, great. Thank you so much. And we have amongst us Dr. Anuradha Parashar ma'am, who is Dean for Liberal Arts, Fine Arts, Mass Media and Journalism. So I'm very sure she also must be having some of the questions regarding liberal arts. Ma'am, over to you, please.
Yeah. I was grossly, just into the listening mode that, and I was really enjoying the discussions. And so this is for Sahil sir and Madam Dodd. Our executive president, Shri Rahul V. Karat, he is already, visualizing that we should have collaboration with universities from across India. And we have already started our effort in that direction. So that is one thing. And I think liberal arts education, as rightly pointed out, that if we are doing that in a very illiberal way, I mean, it's not going to end. I mean, it's not going to lead anywhere. But as far as liberal arts is concerned, of course, the opportunities, the job possibilities are unlimited, because multiple skills is what our students they gain, and they have multiple options available with them. So it was really great listening to both the experts and the insight. And Preeti, I think Shri Adi Malaku Suresh sir, he has joined. You may probably invite him also now. I see that he has joined. I can't see on the video, but it appears he has joined.
Yeah, I think confirmation. I have no receipt or confirmation from ma'am. Suhasini ma'am.
Yeah, he is. Yes, he is about to join.
Yeah, meanwhile, we have one last question. If time permits, can we go ahead with that? Because I'm flooded with so many questions.
Yes, I think there's this message from his office. Yes.
Yeah, madam. He will be joining in 5 minutes, please.
Okay. Fine. We'll take question in that case, Preeti. Yeah.
Thank you. So this is the question regarding credits. So there is no uniform credit system across India in education policy. So how many credits and how we are going to decide the credit system for liberal arts? Because multiple options will be available in the form of general electives, open electives, cluster electives, and number of electives are there. Major, minor is there, internship, project, dissertation, research. So when it's flooded with so many combinations, how we are going to devise the credit system? That is the next question. Minimum, maximum credit limit, flexibility, how it's going to be, what is floating credit. So that is also one of the questions I have received. So can you please throw light on this? Sahil sir, I can see smile on your face. So I think you'll be able to contribute to this first. Please, sir.
For a lot of this, I think we as institutions are to be blamed, because for our for creating buzzwords, we create these new terms for credits. So a lot of them may be meaning similar things. The basic problem here is how do we standardize the meaning of a credit. So just like there is a standard definition of a kilogram, I think that is what we have to achieve, that we have a standard count of a credit in terms of number of hours. Once that is done, then I think in a liberal approach to education, we should be flexible enough in deciding, how much is a core, how much is an elective, how much is an open elective, how much is an open elective from other institution. So that kind of a freedom should always be with the student and with the institutions, because otherwise it will defeat the purpose of education, of a liberal education.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Maya ma'am, you want to add anything to it? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I mean, we have a count of 120 credits for graduation for a 3-year undergraduate degree as per UGC. And if you really go by the amount of classroom presence, etc., this mandates, it's a very tough load. It's really honestly, even we are struggling often to just give students any kind of vacation, because we have eaten into every summer with internships. We also want experiential learning to be, part of their experience. So it's kind of like the understanding of what is a credit has to change. And this sort of idea, especially with asynchronous learning and blended learning, right? When and how you do it does not have to be face-to-face all the time. So
yes.
Hopefully that will change.
Okay.
Yes, Suhasini ma'am, you want to say something?
Yes, actually, curriculum design, all these new ideas, and revision of curriculum design. We all know that how the many of the traditional teachers resist the change, and how the university system also demands that no, you stay with this curriculum for at least a few years, at least 3 years. So that has always been a challenge. And as she has aptly said, that balancing credits, this is experiential learning is important, capstone project is important. No, these fundamentals are required, these skills are required. That is so. This has always been a very, very tough job for those who are in curriculum design. And these two people today who are our distinguished speakers are really with whom we would like to discuss, and how do you really juggle between all these issues and come up with the curriculum which is accepted by majority, and then we all follow that. That is a very big challenge. Thank you.
Yes, this is the first year for MIT World Peace University. We started with BA Liberal Arts course, and we have seen how challenging it was to design the curriculum and maintaining the credits, majors and minors. Then how to fit in cluster electives and general electives. We had that juggling this year. But successfully we launched the program, and we really are happy. And with your inputs, I think they are really valuable for us. Definitely, we'll work on whatever concepts and new things here we have talked about. So it's really very insightful. I would say this discussion very fruitful for each one of us. And anyway, we all have promised and looking forward for collaborating with each other.
I have one last question.
One more question was there, but I thought ki sir has joined, so I might not go. Yes, ma'am, please.
Okay. Last question is that to both of you, because both of you are very much integrated with your universities and with your education system. How do you experiment and exercise faculty training? This has been a very, this is my interest because I am working in that area. And it is difficult to come out with a very, unique model or something like that. So how do you deal with that? Please share.
With the pandemic, I think all universities had to suddenly flip, right, to go online. Yes. And we did that in a rush. That was in March, April. But frankly, we spent a solid 4 months in the summer offering a lot of workshops to faculty to rethink their syllabi. So we have a Center for Teaching and Learning, and we used our collective intelligence, to offer those workshops. But I'm very happy to see that we're actually offering these faculty development programs for the outside world also. And anybody who wants can, sign up.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'll add that, one of the objectives that we put in front of ourselves at the Rashram School of Public Leadership is that we are a learning organization. So we're not a teaching organization, but a learning organization. And this is an important shift in the mindset, because everyone, including the faculty and the founders, we ourselves, we place ourselves into sessions, into workshops. We go through workshops through which our own mindset keeps evolving. The example that I shared during my presentation of psychological profiling. So that's one small example of how we're bringing an innovative approach to faculty members from all institutions, how to learn. So we are using an Ayurvedic based, Vata Pitta Kapha based analogy to understand what is the kind of the build-up of a student, and how can we design our learning to suit that student's profile. At Rishute, since we have a school of education, so it becomes all the more important for us to keep the faculty's development in mind, because as a school, our objective is that the future generation of educators should be ready to take up the challenges that are coming in the future.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Suhasini ma'am.
Yeah.
Should I go with one more question, or sir has joined?
Yeah. Please take one last question and we will join, I think. Yeah.
Yes. So this is the question, as I said earlier, the scope of liberal arts. What after liberal arts? That was the question. One is of employment and other one is about postgraduate degree. So after BA liberal arts, what will be the next step for students, whether it is MA liberal arts or MA? So student says that if I do BA economics in liberal arts major, BA liberal arts major in economics, what will be my scope for PG, for MA? Is it MA liberal arts or MA economics? Then if it is MA liberal arts, then why BA liberal arts and then MA economics? Why can't it be BA economics and directly MA economics? So how we are going to discuss this? How we are going to explain this?
Don't get a degree in liberal arts, you get a degree in your specialization. So I mean, at least the way it's understood usually is that if you do economics, you get a BA in economics, or you do physics, you get a BSc in physics. So nobody is getting a degree in liberal arts. It is a style, it's an orientation to a very interdisciplinary, thing. But finally, your master's can be in your major or your minor. So if you've done psychology and economics, you could do a master's in psychology or economics, right? So it's not that general that you don't have a home. You do land somewhere finally. Yeah. So I think there's some misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I totally agree with Dr. Maya, because if liberal arts was just a combination of a lot of subjects without getting depth in any particular area, then we would be calling it 4 more years of school. There is no higher education there.
Yeah. Okay, so basically it's a kind of teaching learning process, liberal arts. So it's I think student might have misunderstood this concept as liberal arts. It's not BA liberal arts. BA liberal arts, you are going to get specialization in the choice. Okay.
Yeah, it's a method to get to the specialization.
We can draw a parallel from engineering. So no one graduates as an engineer. We graduate either as a mechanical engineer or a civil engineer. Exactly. Although the degree always remains B Tech or B engineering. So that's the kind of parallel.
Great. Yeah. Thank you. It was really very informative session and so many valuable inputs and insights we have got from this session. So thank you, Sahil Agrawal sir. Thank you, Maya Dot ma'am. Now we are going to go ahead towards the next part of our session. Thank you, Suhasini ma'am.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Can we invite the minister here?
So before we invite him, I think we can have a short film introducing sir. Meanwhile, he might join us. Should I go ahead with that?
I think
sir is actually not on the seat. He is joining for 2 minutes.
Yeah, it would be better if we introduce the film in the minister's presence rather than in his absence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
Okay.
So meanwhile, if Anuradha ma'am, we had a number of questions from students regarding liberal arts. If you have anything to put forth, please, I request you to put forth any question. If Dr. Chitnis, he's here. He's the guiding light for liberal arts. He helped us a lot designing curriculum and making this school liberal arts at MIT World Peace University. So if any question from Dr. Parashar and Dr. Chitnis, I think we can go ahead.
I'll come in. So not a question as such, but it's more about what we are doing at MIT World Peace University and for the BA Liberal Arts program. So this BA Liberal Arts program, which we have recently introduced, and the idea behind and the vision behind this program is to create multi-skilled and multi-talented leaders. So that's the basic goal and objective with which this program has been designed. And the cardinal principle which we have based is that there's a very famous saying that there are Chauset Kala and so it may not be all that, but at least a majority of that combination of knowledge, skills, and talent-oriented subject we have ingrained as part of the inbuilt design of our BA Liberal Arts program. And I'm very happy to share that we have unique courses like self-discovery, music therapy. We are also going for heritage conservation. So that those kind of programs and Vedic studies is also one of the cluster elective, where minimum 4 courses they should be studying. So the kind of basket which we are offering here at MIT World Peace University, almost 200 plus courses are there, and very soon we are planning to start with BBA liberal arts as well as MA in liberal arts, and of course various majors. So this is just an input to share that what we are doing here at MIT World Peace University. Yeah, Dr. Preet.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. As ma'am rightly said, a number of combinations were possible at MIT World Peace University because we have those expertise available at different schools. So under MIT World Peace University, we have, as I said earlier, that we have School of Fine Arts, Performing Arts. So when we talk about arts, all those aspects of arts, including humanities, we have taken into consideration while designing this syllabus. So it is performing arts, then it is drama or theater we have taken into consideration, then applied arts also we do have some concepts from managerial studies we have taken, event development is there, legal studies are there. So we have tried our level best to get each and every aspect of human life together under one roof, that is called School of Liberal Arts here at MIT World Peace University. And we have tried to balance those credit system also. It's very difficult, as Maya, ma'am and Sahil sir said, we really juggled a lot how to fit in, because when we go ahead with cluster elective, then adjusting general elective was becoming very difficult for us. So how to go ahead with that? But after a lot of juggle and survey of other universities and mentorship of so many personalities, eminent personalities from liberal arts, they guided us well. And here is our curriculum design and program design of School of Liberal Arts at MIT World Peace University.
Yeah.
Yes. Suhasini ma'am, you want to add something?
No.
Subhash, any update?
Yes.
Subhash, any update on the minister's arrival? Subhash?
I think
Sir, he will join any moment. He
come back
just come from same
Chief
office.
Minister's office, and he will join us anytime. That is the information passed on to me. So we'll wait for a few more minutes for him to arrive, maybe.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I do request Suhasini Desai ma'am to let us know about NTC, National Teachers Congress, because yesterday also we had wonderful sessions as a successful implementation of NEP, National Education Policy, then Research Foundation, Rashtriya Research Foundation, Atmanirbhar Bharat. So if you just let us know about those sessions in brief and about NTC, so that will be great, ma'am. Over to you, Suhasini.
Yeah. National Teachers Congress is conceptualized by our executive president, Mr. Rahul Karad. And this basically, there was a lot of debate whether this should be generally all the conferences, all such gatherings are discipline specific. Then why have all the teachers under one banner under National Teachers Congress? The very aim of this Congress is to get together teachers from different disciplines and a culture of multidisciplinary approach to know each other, to develop the brethren across the disciplines is the basic idea. And in this, we are not talking about local teachers or teachers in India. Actually, by the way, I would like to share here one thing. When we had teacher to teacher, this exercise which we have in National Teachers Congress on our campus, teacher from Jammu and Kashmir discussing some issues with the teachers from South India or teachers from Maharashtra. It is so interesting that all the teachers are getting together on one platform and sharing their concerns, their issues and all that. So this National Teachers Congress is being developed with this view to get the teachers across disciplines, across states together and discuss, deliberate on the current issues. If at all society is to change, teachers can bring that change to the society. And with this thought, all of us, I will say that we have experienced that even with online and blended education, we are not displacing teacher out of the education system. Teacher has a place, human bonding, human knowledge sharing, and real life experiences will never ever fade away from education system. Whatever we do online, however content we deliver online, whatever we try, interactions and other things, beyond that, as Mr. Sahil Agarwal very rightly said, what you learn beyond classrooms. Students develop lifelong friendships. Student-teacher bonding is there. We reach to the students beyond the curriculum and the content of our syllabus. And this is very much required. And in pandemic, we have realized this much more than our, so to say, normal life. With this new normal, we have realized that it has a place. People are longing to meet relatives, meet friends, meet people, to connect. And that is what happens on the campus, on the vibrant campus. So same thing happens in National Teachers Congress on our campus. We also connect with the teachers who are especially teachers of Indian origin and who are doing an excellent work abroad in different countries. We know that go to any country, go to Harvard, go to whatever, and we come across that, okay, these are the good, very good exemplary teachers from Indian origin doing great work here. So that is the concept.
Excuse me.
The
Sorry for
fourth
disturbance.
edition. Okay, let me know.
Yeah,
Yes?
the Honorable Minister will join immediately right now.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. And very obviously, this year's concept has to be national education policy, because that is the policy our entire education world in India is revolving around. There are concerns, there are many radical or many reforms suggested. And we know that a pivot point is implementation. Whatever is very ideologically written, if it is not exercised, then it just becomes a very good idealistic novel, which is just taken out of the cupboard. You refer to it, keep it back. But now we have a chance, and that is why we took this as a theme. So in next coming 2 days, even today at 4:30, we have a session on online and digital education. We have internationalization tomorrow. We also have a theme like education technology and quality in education. Now, quality in education is revolving around accreditation and ranking. We know there was initially only QS and international ranking. Then came the Times ranking, and now we have NIRF and other rankings. So is really quality synonymous with rankings and accreditation, or do we want to keep it as a separate entity away from numbers and data? So this will be deliberated. So there are many things, many themes we have taken, and this entire NTC is woven around national education policy. I am really thankful that today's two speakers have really shown us the wide canvas of liberal education, and it is really challenging how we are going to incorporate it in our formal education, especially across all disciplines and everything. So with this, I will hand over the mic to our competitor Preeti, and Honorable Minister is here. Sir, namaste from, and I welcome you on MIT World Peace University campus, virtual campus.
Namaste.
And I hand over the mic to our today's anchor, Dr. Preeti Joshi.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you all the dignitaries, and a great welcome, Sri Adimulapu Sureji. He is an Honorable Minister of Education, Government of Andhra Pradesh. So welcome, sir, on behalf of MIT World Peace University National Teachers Congress. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, and without further ado, I request my technical team to relay the film introducing Sri Adimulapu Sureji. Over to you, technical team.
Dr. Adimullapu Suresh is the Minister for Education for the state of Andhra Pradesh. He is a former civil servant. He represents Yaragonda Palam constituency in Andhra Pradesh and is a member of the YSR Congress Party. Dr. Suresh did his bachelor's degree in civil engineering from the National Institute of Technology, Karnataka in 1984, and then acquired a doctorate in computer science engineering. Previously, he worked as Deputy Financial Officer and Chief Accounts Officer in the Indian Railways. He has contested 3 assembly elections for the state legislature of Andhra Pradesh and has been victorious in all 3. We are honored to welcome Dr. Adimullapu Suresh to the 4th National Teachers Congress, hosted by MIT World Peace University.
Welcome you again, sir. Welcome. This is 4th National Teachers Congress, and the theme of this session is liberal education. So without any further ado, I do request you to share your thoughts and views on liberal education. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, one and all, for giving me this good amount of quality time in interacting with all the stakeholders of this fourth National Teachers Congress being organized by the MIT and World Peace, MIT World Peace University. As rightly been pointed out, that liberal education is really the connecting thread across all disciplines, and that is the need of the hour. We have to really do a paradigm shift, and then we have to do some out of the box thinking as far as changing the pedagogy of teaching as well as learning is concerned. With the 21st century technology available, there is a need to rethink or reorient the entire education system to be more holistic and more futuristic. The teacher-centric and then institutional-centric education or curriculum-centric education is slowly losing its relevance with the latest technology being developed and also getting outdated very fast. In this context, we need to focus on student-centric education. The education should revolve around the student. We need to tap all those strengths and then core competencies which are hidden inside the student. Every student has got some God's gift of some areas where actually if you really polish them or fine-tune them, they can be really experts in that core competencies. The whole the concept of teacher teaching or giving education needs to be revisited. The teacher is no longer a giver of education or knowledge. From there actually he should move on to a facilitator. He should be only a facilitator in facilitating the students to acquire all the knowledge and all the skills that are available. In addition to the bookish knowledge and the wisdom which we expect that the student will gain at the end of his curriculum, there is a need to impart some life skills, soft skills, and then critical life skills like analytical thinking, problem solving, and then communicating, and then understanding, and then observing some values. The end result of an education is not to benchmark against the status, social status, what he acquires, or the type of jobs what he is going to handle, or the pay packages what he is going to take. So this approach has rightly been pointed out in the National Education Policy 2020. Has rightly been pointed out by Honorable Prime Minister that the aim of this National Education Policy is to make a student a global student. We need to give them the skills that are required. Not only concentrating on maths and sciences, there are other liberal arts and humanities which a student has to learn. As the saying goes that those who forget history are condemned to repeat it. So we need to know about the history, we need to know about the economics, we need to know about the political science, and then in addition to the engineering. For that matter, even if you talk about engineering, it's not the core engineering branches you need to confine if you are doing a degree in civil engineering, or if you are doing a degree in computer science engineering or electronics engineering. A mix of interdisciplinary courses is the need of the hour. A student should be given freedom to, at least to some extent, pursue the subjects of his choice, for which he should be given some credits. The national education policy rightly points about choice-based credit system. You select some choices of subjects, and then that will become a part of your, the conventional degree which you are going to acquire. And then if that is not available, and then you can even make use of this online and then massive online courses, and then try to acquire those degrees by getting some minimum knowledge about that subject, for which again the NEP says academic bank of credits. These are the two areas, academic bank of credits, where you can bank your credits, whatever you earn in the course of your education, and then you can take a choice of the number of credits which you have to acquire, and then the education will be very liberal for giving scope for the student to pursue the areas of his interest, and then to pursue the areas of his choice, and then acquire knowledge. And that will ultimately help him in really transforming into a student well accomplished to the needs of the industry. Finally, a student should be a brand for himself, and he should be able to market himself without the need for searching for his degrees or for his accomplishments in the form of CGPA or in the form of gradings. The courses also should be so flexible that it should have multiple entries and it should have multiple exits. The conventional form of universities are slowly losing their relevance. The university should be interdisciplinary. Interdisciplinary courses should come, and then the universities also should offer courses in such a way that you can graduate in a particular discipline with a number of credits by taking it as a major, and then with additional choices where actually areas where you are interested into minor, and thereby distinguishing the degrees into honors and then regular degrees. And then with a lot of internship, hands-on session experience, which is the need of the hour for the industry. In Andhra Pradesh, our Honorable Chief Minister Sri Y.S. Jagannath Reddy has thought on these lines. Being a visionary, we have redesigned all the courses into honors and regular courses, and every course, every degree, and all the curriculum leading to award of this degree shall contain 10 months of internship, compulsory internship, where actually he will go to the industry and interact with the industry and then learn the skills what we have been taught in the regular institutions. And then finally, there should be a multiple options for exit. For example, a course for which he has joined has a duration of 5 years, and then if he completes 2 years, he should be able to get a diploma, and if he completes 1 year, he should be able to get a certificate course, and finally if he does 3-year course, it will be a proper degree, and if he goes for 1 more year, he should have honors degree, and then wherever you want to come out of this, there should be exit. This is what actually the liberal education, what we are now discussing, which will be a very loosely but firmly knit around all the disciplines, and then hold them in a very tight position, though not a closed ones. It is only closely knit but not a closed one. This liberal education concept is. And then what I want to add at this point of time is the skilling. The skilling is one area where it has to be nicely integrated. It has to be integrated into the curriculum in such a way that it is a hands-on session which will finally make the student very, very competent and confident in handling the portfolios for which actually he has been trained. And then this life skills also, when you send them for the internship, you should have some social awareness and you should have some exposure to all the societal requirements, both economical, educational, political, and then developmental activities that are going on in a particular society. In Andhra Pradesh, we are targeting all our courses and tailor-made these courses with having a common curriculum, and then with multiple exit and entry options. And then we have rolled out these courses this year itself, duly accepting the recommendations of NEP 2020. The NEP 2020 also very categorically says that the GER, which is the basic parameter to evolve, to test the level of education in a particular state, the enrollment ratio, it needs to be doubled, or at least it should be 50% by 2035 in a span of 15 years. But in Andhra Pradesh, we are targeting it to 90% because we have already started a lot of incentives for bringing children, students, both from primary education to higher education, into the schools by giving various incentives to the child, to the parents, to the teachers, and all the stakeholders in the education ecosystem. To name a few, in Andhra Pradesh, at the primary school level and at school education level, we have gone with the concept that education should have equity, should have affordability, should have accessibility, should have quality, and should have accountability. These are the 5 parameters on which education system in Andhra Pradesh actually we want to take it forward. So we want poverty should not be a barrier for education, and especially for higher education. And we are incentivizing the mothers to send their children to schools by giving a monetary support of nearly 15,000 rupees for every eligible mother per year for sending their children to schools. This will, to a large extent, will reduce child labor, will reduce the level of illiteracy, and bring children into the fold of education. Not only that, we are also giving incentives to the child, especially by giving free education in terms of providing uniforms, textbooks, bags, shoes, and then everything with a good nutrient midday meal scheme that will be really very tasteful, and then will have a lot of variety. And then when it comes to higher education, we are giving full fee reimbursement called Jagananna Vidya Divana, Jagananna Vasadivana, the boarding charges for 1 year free. And then we have got the Jagananna Vidya Kanuka, and then Ammavodi, the mother's lap, where actually I have already mentioned you that we are giving an incentive of 15,000 rupees to every mother for sending their child. So these are the incentives actually which we are giving to the parents, the teachers also actually with extending good working conditions and good promotion policy, good recruitment policy, and good training policy. We have identified the areas of less prioritized sectors for teachers, especially a lack of regular training and sustained training over a period of time of the entire career, where now we have started some new district level training centers integrated with the university exclusively for teacher education. Thereby, the training aspect for the teachers, and then for parents also, we are making them a part in the parents committees of the schools, and then giving them works to refurbish the school's infrastructure, and with the Nadu Nedu yesterday and today. This concept, Nadu Nedu school, concept of renovating the entire schools of 45,000 odd schools in Andhra Pradesh at a cost of almost 11,000 crores in a span of 3 years. We have believed in that the entire expenditure what we are incurring in education sector is not an expenditure. It is an investment on the future generations. It's an investment on the youth for their betterment in generations to come. This is the concept of our Honorable Chief Minister. And with this, actually, we want to increase the academic standards, increase the number of students coming to getting registered in the schools, and then increasing the infrastructure. Thereby, we can concentrate on the curriculum. And then here, when it comes to curriculum, it will be skill-based education. It should be value-based education, and education with equity, and education which will really give them skills and then make them, compete at a global level. So this is what actually we are looking at liberal education, and the universities which offer this type of education should also be a multidisciplinary universities and not a traditional, conventional university. This is what another area we are looking for in changing scenario of the education system or introducing reforms. The total regulatory and monitoring institutions had to be built, for which actually we have enacted laws for commissions being created for regulating the fees, for monitoring the infrastructure in all the schools, no matter which management they are being run. So these are some of the holistic and then futuristic ideas we are following in Andhra Pradesh, and then I'm sure the trend in the near future is towards liberal education, and then education also need not be a traditional school type of education. It should be online education, thanks to COVID pandemic, which has really taught us the importance of online education. Maybe it is through telecasting, or it is broadcasting, or it is through streaming, and there is a need to blend education, and then with multi-channel communication, where actually certain amount of syllabus need to be mandatorily be online, where children should be given, or the students should be given the freedom to sit at home and then have these classes coming, being heard, and then all the assignments and then examinations also can be done online, and the evaluation also can be done by using this technology. So it's for evaluation, for admissions, and then for regular monitoring, and then teaching. And there should we can always go online, and there should be a seamless integration of all these areas, where now the virtual type of classrooms and virtual type of universities are going to be a reality in near future. And I hope the National Teachers Congress, the 4th National Teachers Congress, will dwell upon these areas in much deeper manner, and then come out with the concrete suggestions and concrete ideas and good ethos, which will definitely be a torch bearer for all the other states and other universities also to embark upon or follow upon. So I really thank the MIT World Peace University for taking a very good initiative in selecting the topic, especially the liberal education, in the light of this new National Education Policy 2020, and then putting on a wonderful discussion for 4 days. And definitely there will be a plethora of ideas that will be thrown open in this conclave, in this congress, and then will help the entire teacher community and also the stakeholders of the education system, and the whole education system will get benefited. Thank you so much for giving this wonderful opportunity of interacting with you, and then thanks.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks a lot. It was really a wonderful session and very informative, I would say. We got a crystal clear idea about liberal education. You talked about various exit options available at liberal education, how skill development or skill-based courses are important to be incorporated in liberal arts education, and internship that plays very important vital role in liberal arts education. So liberal education, we really got a clear picture from you, sir. Thank you. Thank you once again on behalf of MIT World Peace University National Teachers Congress, sir. Thank you so much. And it's our honor. Yes, sir.
Dr. Preeti, please mention Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir Dr. N.T. Rao is here, and if you would like to say something.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah.
Sir.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you, Chitni sir. I think I will speak the first sentence in our Matrubhasha, the mother tongue, which both the minister and we speak. Andhra Pradesh Rashtra Vidyasakha Matula Variki, or Dr. Vishwanath Karad, MIT Vishwasanti Vishwavidyalaniki, విచ్చేసినందుకు ఈ విశ్వవిద్యాలయ కులపతిగా మీకు హార్దిక శుభాకాంక్షలు. Okay, I was just.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Andy.
Yeah.
So nice, Dr. Preeti Joshi ji, and then Dr. Rao. Very nice.
I would like to say a few things, and I think that was a sentence which I said. I think mostly Sanskritized Telugu that I spoke. That inviting, expressing our thanks to the Honorable Minister, and I would like to mention that I see that from the profile, a minister is also civil engineer like me. Also, I'm also civil engineer like minister, and I come from his neighboring district, Neldor, and he's from NIT, and I also have a lot of NIT history. And the best part of it is he's an NIT graduate, but did his PhD in computer science, computer engineering. That's phenomenal. And he's selected for Indian Engineering Services and served as a civil servant, and now is a public servant. So we are really proud and honored to have a man of your caliber. And I keep following what's happening in Andhra Pradesh. That's my hometown, that's my home city or home state. And you have been revolutionizing many of the aspects, including teaching in the mother tongue, which national education policy is talking about. So before that, please permit me 2 minutes. So everybody is talking about holistic education. If you had a chance to look at our website, we call MIT World Peace University a first university for life transformation. Yes. So what the NUP is telling today, we have been practicing this for the last 30, 40 years, sir. And this is a 4th Teachers Congress. I can tell you, I can send you the resolutions of 1st, 2nd, 3rd Teachers Congress. These resolutions find their way directly to the national education policy, sir. What India is thinking about tomorrow, the MIT WP has already thought yesterday, and it has already thought today, and it's imparting this quality education. When we talk about liberal education, it's not only people mistake liberal education is something to do with the liberal art and subjects dealing with liberal arts. We do much more than that. We try to inculcate values. And then when we talk about world peace, it's not about any language, it's not about any religion, it doesn't subscribe to any theory, but where we can develop the individual from within, sir. So I feel that I think we have been promoting this liberal education right from the beginning, last 30, 40 years. It's nothing new for us. It's our way of practice for us. So I thought you should know, sir, and then when the things open up, we invite you to please visit us, and then you can experience how we impart education in completely different. And then, of course, you would also really appreciate. And maybe if you give us an opportunity, we can come and visit you in, say, whether it's Visakhapatnam or where maybe Santanuthalpadu or wherever you suggest, we could explain, and we can, because it's lack of time, and how we as a university have been not only in the liberal education, we have been in the forefront of all these human values and transforming the individual. So I thought I would take this opportunity to explain this. And once again, sir, I'm really feeling very happy that as a Telugu person, Telugu Adiga, Garvaparthunan, sir. Okay, I'm feeling proud that I'm a Telugu person where my minister is, I'm able to talk to Honorable Minister. So thank you very much and all the very best, and thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. The credit goes to my leader, Honorable Chief Minister, for giving me an opportunity to serve as the Education Minister, especially a time when we are doing a lot of reforms. Thank you, Preeti ji, and thank you, Dr. Rao. All the best. All the best.
Thank you. Actually, that was a surprise element. I was about to invite Dr. N.T. Rao because we were very sure about it. He belonged to the same state that you belong to. So we were about to invite him, and sir also suggested us. So thank you, both of you. Thanks a lot. And from your busy schedule, you carved time for all of us and shared your thoughts with MIT, World Peace University, and National Teachers Congress, with all teachers who are attending this program. Thank you so much, sir, once again. And now going ahead towards the concluding part of this program, I do request Dean of Faculty of Liberal Arts, Faculty of Fine Arts, Media and Journalism, Dr. Anuradha Parasar, to propose the vote of thanks for today's session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Preeti. Very good afternoon to one and all, honorable members on virtual dais. It is indeed an honor to propose the vote of thanks, and at the end of such an enlightened session on liberal education, connecting threads across all discipline. And I take this opportunity to propose vote of thanks on behalf of Honorable President, Professor Dr. Vishwanath D. Karad, sir, Honorable Executive President, Shri Rahul V. Karad, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor N.T. Rao, Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor R.M. Chitnis, and all Pro Vice Chancellors, Deans, faculty, staff, and students of MIT World Peace University. From bottom of my heart, I extend heartfelt gratitude and thanks to all distinguished panel members for sharing their perspectives, valuable insights, and in making this session so enriched and thought-provoking, and for defining and redefining liberal education understanding in its true context. And I was deeply engrossed in the session, listening to all illuminating thoughts for various reasons, and also for the reason that presently I'm taking care of MIT WPU Faculty of Liberal Arts as Dean. So this topic is so close to our heart. And I got so many valuable suggestions and advices, and I think it goes for all the faculty of liberal arts who are also attending this session and all the participants. So this was a great session for all faculty of liberal arts and for all participants as well. And we extend wholehearted thanks to guest of honor, Shri Adi Mulaku Sureshji, Honorable Minister of Education, Government of Andhra Pradesh. Thanks, sir, for sharing your great thoughts about liberal education as connecting threads, and about very important dimension, the holistic and futuristic dimension of education system. You very well said about student-centric education, critical life skill, and the concept of global student. So thank you so much, sir, for sharing with us those great insights. We extend sincere thanks to eminent speaker Shri Sahil Agarwal ji, CEO and co-founder of Rishihood University and co-founder Rashram School of Public Leadership. Thanks a lot for gracing this session by your presence and for such an enriched session about liberation, liberal education, and liberal learning. And something like education which can liberate boundaries is liberal education. So very well said. And important skills to be developed is learning to learn. So that was some great insight we got from our eminent resource person. And you also shared your effort with reference to faculty member roles, how you people are trying your level best from knowledge provider to learning mentors. So thanks a lot, Sahil ji, for those valuable insights. And we extend earnest thanks to eminent speaker, Dr. Maya Dodji, Director and Teaching and Learning, Flame University, for wisdom words about how to integrate liberal education and to go about lifelong learning, life skills, service learning, and from rigid curriculum to multidisciplinary curriculum, and for sharing international perspective on liberal education. So thank you, Madam Dodd, for such an enriched input. And I think it's high time to give a big round of applause to all distinguished panel members who are on virtual dais, and equally insightful thoughts from our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir. So heartfelt expression of gratitude and thanks to our UNESCO Chairholder and President, MIT WPU Professor Dr. Vishwanath D. Karad, sir, and Executive President, MIT WPU Shri Rahul V. Karad, sir, for being the constant source of inspiration and motivation. And I think it is indeed a big We should give a big round of applause and thanks to all participants who were there with us. All, I mean, they are there here, and thanks for making this session a great success through your participation. And we hope that you all benefited from participation in this illuminating session on liberal education, connecting threads across all disciplines. And thanks to all members of organizing committee of National Teachers Congress, Professor R.M. Chitnis, Dr. Suhasini Desai, Dr. Archana Chaudhary, and to all members of various functional committees for such meticulous planning and for wonderful organization of 4th edition of National Teachers Congress, which is very aptly, done for inspiring teachers to strengthen generations by connecting spirited teaching fraternity through this India's largest convention of teachers from India and Indian teachers who are living abroad. And thanks to anchor of the session, Dr. P, for coordinating session so well. Once again, finally, I thank and extend gratitude to one and all for your contribution and for witnessing this session, as well as MIT World Peace University's 4th edition of National Teachers Congress is a memorable and successful event. Thank you. Vande Mataram. Jai Hind.
Thank you. Thank you,
ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, before we conclude the program, I have an important announcement to make. Next session, that is about online and digital education, that is the 4th session of this National Teachers Congress, MIT World Peace University. We are going to begin this session immediately after this. Link is open, and whoever are connected through this link, same link will be used for the next session. I can see all the eminent guests have joined in the panel.
Yes.
So it's a kind request all the attendees, all the teachers to stay connected with the same link. Yes. So one more time, once again, I do thank all the dignitaries, all the panelists, all the teachers, and all the attendees for this workshop. Thank you so much. And with this, we'll conclude the workshop and this session. Thank you. So we are going ahead for the next session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Namaskar, Dr. Brahma Bhatt, sir. Good to see you. Good evening, Professor Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Javier.
Professor Javier, yeah.
Hi, how are you? Hi.
How are you, Javier? Yeah, good to see you. Yeah.
Okay. Then good evening, Dr. Romila. Very good evening to you. Hello.
Good evening. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, Professor Datta Dange and Professor Asawari. You please take over.
Asawari ma'am, we can start this session immediately.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. A very good evening to one and all present over here. We have gathered here virtually for 4th National Teachers Congress on probably an unconventional platform, but with the same rigor, with the same enthusiasm, and with the same dedication. I once again welcome you. Yeah, I once again welcome you for this plenary session themed online and digital education. All the dignitaries on the panel have arrived. Professor Javier Gonzalez, Professor Alex Hankey, Dr. Subhash Brahmabhat, and Dr. Romila Vermaji. I welcome you one and all wholeheartedly on behalf of MIT World Peace University. So before doing further much ado, I request my technical team to kindly lay the curtain raiser clip.
The National Education Policy 2020 recognizes the importance of leveraging the advantages of technology while acknowledging its potential risks and dangers. Digital education is not about videos of lectures on blackboards by teachers on the internet. It is about appropriate platforms, technology, tools, interactivity, curation, content, and a lot more. Teachers require suitable training and development to be effective online educators. There are numerous challenges to conducting online examinations at scale, including limitations on the types of questions that can be asked in an online environment, handling network and power disruptions, and preventing unethical practices. Let us discuss this now.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that crisp and very informative clip. Now, as per the tradition goes, we're going to have a virtual photograph, a virtual group digital selfie. So I request all the panelists to be on camera and kindly put that broad smile on your face, and maybe we can have this digital selfie as a memory with all of us for lifelong. Can we have all the guests on the camera, please? Right, I can see Datta Dange sir, and I can see Professor Gonzalez. Good evening, Dr. Parasar.
Done, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah. Are we done, technical team?
Yeah, done, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody. Now, with the permission of the dignitaries, may we proceed with the flow of the session? Okay, okay. So we have with us on panel a galaxy of eminent dignitaries, and I'd like to begin quickly with an introduction of Professor Javier Gonzalez. He's an international university professor, consultant, course creator, strategist, and entrepreneur. He's been working 7+ years in finance industry and in finance strategic roles. He continued his career at executive level, managing strategic projects in the pharmaceutical industry and financial services industry. He also teaches finance, business, and entrepreneurship related topics at universities across the world, be it in Europe, Asia, and Africa. He also creates courses and academic programs. As a public speaker, he gives conferences about finance, education, business, and entrepreneurship. He possesses professional skills like finance analysis, project management, and business development, classroom management, teaching, and course creation strategic leadership. So with that introduction, now I request Professor Gonzalez to kindly take it over from me and address this August gathering. Over to you, sir. I think, sir, you'll have to unmute yourself.
That's the
Right.
usual issue, I guess, when we teach online. Sorry, I was on mute. Okay, I just need to share some slides. I have 8 slides to share very, very fast, since 15 minutes is very, very short time to discuss an interesting and broad topic like online education and digital education. So just confirm me that you can see my screen, and then I can start.
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Yes, you can? Okay, perfect. Yeah. Sounds good. Okay, so online and digital education would be good to start. I mean, this is me, okay? Not really interesting. The introduction of myself was already very, very deep in terms of details. So I think it's enough just to let you know. On the international side, I've been living and working in India, Morocco, Belgium, Luxembourg, and now I'm based in Spain, in Barcelona. Okay, so what is online education, or what was online education? Online education before the COVID-19 was kind of the bad level of education. Okay, it was considered, the feeling of most of the people was this is low-level education. This is for people who do not have the means, intellectual ones or even financial ones, to attend a classic teaching institution, a classic university, okay? Now with the COVID-19, online education became a must-have for universities, okay? So the crisis, the healthcare crisis that we are all living is a game changer in education, and especially in online education, okay? What's the challenge now? It's what we will be doing with online education. Okay, we have different opportunities, different approaches. let me share what I think should be the next or the future of education in general and online education. Okay, and what we should keep from this situation, from the COVID-19. What should be the lessons learned that we should keep for the future? Okay, this is my vision. I hope some of you will share it. But so before the COVID-19 or before this crisis, online education was considered exactly as education. So we were exactly doing the same, teaching the same way, with the same tools, but it was with a screen between us. Okay, so it was the same thing but recorded or on webcam, which is obviously a mistake. Okay, so what should be the future? So people are talking about the new normality, about hopefully we will get back on campus very soon, etc., etc. What we believe at Tonic Teaching is that education should be the education 3.0, meaning a mix of activities and a mix of formats. Okay, so with some on-campus that we have here, on-campus activities, for instance, for the group assignments, the group activities, the networking between students, and also maybe the peers review, and also the one-on-one reviews with the professors. That should be or could be done on campus. Then for the activities that could be online, okay. For instance, some assessment could be done online. Some understanding check-ins, okay, could be done online. And then we have a third one that is the self-paced, okay. We make a difference, we distinguish online education, which is what we are doing today, okay, which is live sessions. So we are connecting same day at the same time together, okay. So this is for us, this is online. And self-paced, which is myself or any other of my colleagues on this call recording the classes, and students can watch them and follow them at any time, anywhere in the world. Okay, so this is self-paced. Just to make the distinction between what people call in general online education, but for me, you have those two segments, online and self-paced. Okay, so the future will be a mix, or should be a mix, based on what activities you want to perform with your students. Okay, just to get the best of each format. Okay, online, on campus, and self-paced. So this is our vision for the future, and this is something that we are already applying. By the way, this already exists. It's called blended. Okay, blended, it's a mix between online and on campus. But I think we should be more picky, more keen in what activities we are performing and how we are doing them. Okay. Most reported issue. It was too long to report all the issues, but I think my colleagues will, and the students as well, will agree on a lack of interaction, a lack of participation, a lack of motivation, and for everybody, not only for the students, but also for the professors. The usual mistake is what you see here. I have the software, I have the tools to connect with the students, I have Zoom, I have Teams, whatever tool you are using, okay, Zoom in this case, for instance, but my class lacks of interactivity. And when I'm doing exactly the same class on campus, I have a lot of interactivity, a lot of collaboration, a lot of interaction. What happened? It's because it's not the same format. So you should adapt, okay? You should adapt the teaching methods. We should adapt the curriculums. We should adapt the content, okay? And we should adapt the tools. Using only a communication tool as Zoom to give classes is not good enough, okay? So this is the usual problem that professors are reporting, and we are developing teaching and education projects in 22 countries. So this is not something that we heard in Western Europe and that you can say, yeah, but this is for Spain, since I'm Spanish, or this is for Belgium, since I was living in Belgium, okay? This is like a worldwide thought, okay? A worldwide issue that we are facing as professors, okay? So what can be done, okay? Those are only few of the techniques that we can use, okay? More case studies, okay? Online education, this education 3.0 with a mix of activities through a mix of formats, online, on campus, and self-paced, but we should adapt, okay? Again, adaptability is key, especially in crisis times. We should adapt our teaching methods, not only the professors, also the institutions, and obviously the students must work a part of the work with us as well, okay? They should engage, they should change things as well, okay? You cannot go to the class as you were going to the class on campus. You should adapt, your attitude should change as well as students, okay? But our role is to give you the appropriate activities with the appropriate tools, okay? So more case studies, this is in general, okay? My opinion is that it makes no sense to learn definitions. It makes no sense to learn theory. It makes sense to learn theory, but not only theory, okay? Because you will never go to a company and they will ask you, could you give me the definition of the profitability index if you studied finance? Or could you give me the 4 pillars of project management if you become a project manager? This will never happen in the real world, meaning the corporate world. So why the university? The objective of the university is to create future professionals. So we should do things and empower the students with skills that they will be using in the future, okay? Learning definitions by heart, in my opinion, makes no sense, okay? So case studies, okay? Learning by doing at the end of the day. And this is feasible and it's possible with online education. Flipped classrooms, okay? Very trendy word, everybody is using it. Few of us are applying it, okay? The traditional way is you go on campus, you attend the lecture, and then you have homework activities. The flipped classroom is the other way around. So it's online lectures and classroom activities, group assignments, group case studies, individual case studies on one-on-one with the professor, okay? What I mentioned in the education 3.0, activities based on the format or format based on the activities, okay? It makes no sense to go on campus with all the issues that we are facing, healthcare issues, to learn a definition that a professor is writing on a blackboard, okay? Again, my opinion, but I think it's a new trend. And this is the only picture that I found for the role plays, okay? Again, imagine that you are the manager of a team. How do you create a team culture, okay? And you do role plays, and this could be on campus, okay? This could be an activity on campus, okay? So few skills, few tools that we can use as professors to improve collaboration, interaction, motivation in online education. Okay. Those are just few examples. We also have online tools, okay? So softwares that we can use, but it was too short in 15 minutes to share everything with you, okay? So, but we have other trainings around online education and online teaching. Opportunities and needs, almost there, okay? So the needs and the opportunities are coming from those needs are new skills for teachers. This is very, very important. They asked me to give the conference either on internationalization of the university or on the online education. Both are two things that I really like, okay, based on my profile, as you can imagine. But online education is an opportunity for internationalization, since you can reach people all over the world, okay? And then academics from all over the world, deciders from all over the world, okay? So online education is a weapon, is an opportunity for internationalization, okay? So those are completely complementary, okay? No geographical limits, so this is very, very important as well. I'm in Belgium and I can connect with you in India, okay? So this is very, very important and one of the opportunities that we are getting with online education, and it's decreasing the cost of education, or it should decrease the cost of education. I know that Harvard Business School is proposing the degrees online at exactly the same price, and look what happened. Everybody's complaining about what they did, and it's Harvard Business School, okay? So again, the COVID and the online education is a game changer, okay? A little bit more about what we do and how we help universities with this online education, and also with the internationalization, because those are two of the things that we do for universities. So first of all, we are training professors to teach online. Okay, we give certifications to professors to teach online. Okay, and we do that all over the world. Okay, we did sessions in Chile, we did sessions in Africa, we did sessions in Southeast Asia, okay, in Europe, obviously, in Belgium, in Spain as well. So we are teaching professors based on what we learned, okay? And this what we learn is coming from a huge survey, a huge research study that we did with thousands of professors from all around the world, okay? So this course, this training is based on this experience, on those lessons learned, okay? The other one about online degrees, we are managing, I am the co-director with Sébastien, who will be teaching at MIT as well, of an online diploma in entrepreneurship with a world top university, since Tecnológico de Monterrey is the top 28 in the world, okay? Top 28 business school in the world. And the objective of this curriculum, of this diploma, is to have partners in different countries just to spread top education all over the world. As I mentioned, is one of the opportunities that we are creating or that we have with online education. Okay, so more collaboration, more internationalization, and it's easier, it's cheaper, and it's just a meaning of willingness. Okay, because now people want to partner more than before. Okay, so I hope that we will, I don't want to be too prophetical, but I hope that we will keep those lessons learned. Human beings tend to be forgetful, okay? And we have here with a terrible situation, but we have the opportunity to improve everything, and especially education and online education, okay? And that's it from my side. I think I stick to the 15 minutes. Please feel free to connect as usual when I give a conference at MIT. It's always a pleasure. Feel free to connect. Happy to discuss in further details. 15 minutes is way too short. We could discuss about this topic during hours. Okay. Happy to have further conversations with colleagues, with students, and with management from the university. Okay. And that's it. Questions if you have. It's the best moment. It's the funniest moment for me is when you have questions, because I think this is where is the most interesting part of the talks in general. Okay, so happy to answer all the questions that you may have.
Can we take one question quickly, please?
1, 10, 55, up to you.
Thank you. So Kalpana Dixit is asking, is there any impact on social dynamics after Education 3.0?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things that we cannot digitalize. It's networking, okay? Students getting to know each other and interaction with professors. As a professor, I'm closer to students that I had on campus, for instance. And as a student, because I'm a long life learner, I'm closer, and I still in contact with peers and others and former classmates that I studied with on campus, and not that much with people that I studied with them online. Okay, so networking and social interactions is something that sadly we cannot digitalize yet, and probably that our generation will never be able to do it, because we knew the past. Okay, we lived this previous COVID-19 situation. We know what is going on campus, and saying, okay, after classes we will go for a chai, okay, which is sadly not possible anymore for the moment. Okay, so maybe next generation will say, oh yeah, online interaction is great. This guy is my best friend, but I never met him on in person. But I think for us it's going to be difficult to change that. No solutions yet for it. No solutions yet, and I'm not sure we can find one. By the way, it could be a great innovation. Since I'm teaching entrepreneurship, if someone finds a solution to improve the social interaction, the networking on campus, and replace it by an online technology, this would be a great success. But I don't see any solution so far. Did I answer the question?
Sure, sir. Right. And I think we are going to take a few more questions, but maybe at the end of the session. So just to maintain the flow of the session with the Permission of the dignitaries, can we proceed with next speaker, please?
Sure. Yeah, please.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. All right. Wonderful, and thank you so much, Professor Gonzalez. That was very crisp and absolutely thought-provoking. Next, we have Dr. Subhash Brahmabhat, who is the president of Association of Indian College Principals, teacher, HK College. And I'd like to briefly introduce Dr. Brahmabhat. He's been associated with a lot of educational institutions, and he has received UGC, that is University Grants Commission, New Delhi, UGC nomination for many research projects. He has also been on governing body of a few select committees. There's a long list in front of me, and it's really difficult to pick and select a few of them. He has also been a Government of India nominee, a fellow with ASI New Delhi. He is also visiting faculty and a nominated member at various institutions such as Antiquities Archaeological Survey of India since 2008, NIEPA, that is National Institute of Education and Planning and Administration, New Delhi, Orientation Program for UGC Staff Academic College, Gujarat University, and the very well-known CPT University at Ahmedabad for Islamic Architecture of Ahmedabad. And he was also nominated at some of the other institutions such as a Chairman Finance Faculty, Chairman Board of Studies Indian Culture, Gujarat University. He was Member Board of Studies, Saurashtra University, Rajkot. He has been an advisor and on the advisory board member of CCDC. So with that introduction, now I take pleasure in requesting Dr. Subhash Brahmabhat to please come on the dais and address this gathering. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for inviting me on this platform. And I'm really delighted to be here with the MIT University, because I have a very nice and long association with MIT University and Mr. Rahul Karad and Mr. Chitnis. They are good friends of mine. So definitely, as and when they host this kind of conferences, they do invite me, and I do participate in a number of conferences of this university. It's a really wonderful university, and I'm always admired to this university because they are doing wonderful jobs for the students, and their faculties are benefited as well as their students are also have a wonderful exposure by organizing this kind of conferences. So really, I'm very glad. Now let us come to the subject.
Thank you.
Yeah. See, online education, because of COVID-19, Corona, this country has transformed from one-to-one classroom to online education. And there's a great change in India nowadays because we have heard a lot about online education. And so many times we have come across, but continuous from since last 8 months, all the academic institutions are online. And online education pattern is getting developed in India. As very rightly Gonzalez has said, that technologically well-equipped professors are getting, and they are doing a good number of things. So, so far as the online education is concerned, I think we are still under the pipeline, and we are trying to improve our qualitative education through this technology. But there are pros and cons of the online education. New pattern of this education has changed total scenario of the world education, very frankly speaking. First of all, I will, 5-7 minutes, I will draw your attention towards the pros and cons, and then I will come about the social factors which is affected by this online education. So online education is very interesting method. One thing, it is absolutely a computer-based technological training program, web-based training, internet-based training, from small gadget like telephone, this mobile phone, to laptop. We are converted, and the whole country is now converted from virtual classroom, from regular classroom to screen classroom, and we are on screen classroom. So online education is electronically supported and learning that raise on the internet for teachers, students, and interactions, distributions of class materials to teach and learn outside of the traditional classrooms and away from the college campuses. Third very important thing, it is include audio, video, text, animation, virtual training, and live chats with the number of professors at a time. Uh, it is a research learning environment. It is rich learning environment with much more flexibility than a traditional classroom, but no requirement of to attend the college or the university campus. At a time, 100 to 1,000 people can join and they can learn. See, what are the basic advantages of this online courses? What Gonzalez has already mentioned number of things, but education right to home. So education right to your home, more individual attention. Online courses help to meet interesting people. It gives you real world class teachers as well as your fellow students. Online courses promote lifelong learning also. Online courses have a financial benefits that is very crucial and important in these days. Online teaches you to be the self-discipline, and online courses can connect you to the global village. That is also very important. What are the disadvantages of the online education? Is online courses required more time than online than on campus, because you have to prepare a lot before starting your lecture. Third thing, online required good time management skill, and that is very important. And at least so far as the Indian culture is concerned, we are not very time bound people. We are not particular on the time based management, but it requires a good time management skill also. And online courses may create isolation. That is also very panic thing for the Indian society. And online courses allow you to be more independent. Thirdly, online courses require to be an active learner. Online courses, you give more freedom, perhaps more than you can handle. Very important point is online courses require that you find your own path of learning, because our students are always dependent on their teachers. But this is very important thing, that you find your own path of learning. Uh, Online courses required you to be responsible for your own learning. So these are the pros and cons of online teaching. But what I have feared about it, see, one very important thing, very frankly speaking, as a teacher of Indian university, I would say that we are getting equipped. We were not knowing about connectivity and that all things, and we were having number of gadgets around us, but very frankly speaking, when we were in the classroom and students were just facing us and they were before us, we were not so conscious about these all gadgets and how to do it. so many teachers were not knowing the PowerPoint presentation. University teachers even, they were not knowing properly. But nowadays, everybody is trying to learn. So from school teacher, from junior KG to PhD scholars, they are also learning this technology, they are learning this teaching methodology. And when we learn these all things, and during our learning process, we definitely love to do lot many things for our students. And for the first time, we are getting exposure that technologically, if you are well equipped, then you can do wonderful miracles on this small screen. Teachers can do wonderful jobs. But I have a fear that person to person will not come to know much about them. Because in regular classroom, teacher knows their students personally. Like our old Gurukul pattern, when the students were there on campus with the Guru, that old pattern was very basic and important, like Krishna and Sudama were living in the Sandipani Rishi's ashram. But that culture, that atmosphere, that one-to-one learning, and while living on the campus along with their Guruji, we used to learn a lot without saying anything, only by the behavior of our teachers and our students and our co-students, right? That is what we are missing on online education. Socialization will be wiped out because nowadays, due to this COVID-19, we are not attending the death ceremony as well as marriage ceremony. It's the biggest problem nowadays, and people are isolated nowadays. So that is one thing, and I have a fear that when you are well equipped with the all gadgets at home and everything is online, banking is online, marketing is online, to purchase anything is online, education is online, that means you don't need to go out of your house. Then what will happen? Once again, people will go back to barracks. I have a doubt. हम गुफा की ओर वापस तो नहीं जा रहे, क्योंकि हम अगर सिर्फ घर में रहकर सब कुछ कर सकते हैं तो बाहर जाने की क्या जरूरत है. And we have a lot of fear of this COVID-19, and if we stuck to this corona, it will be a big problem to ourselves as well as our family. So it's a big fear. So under fear, we are learning a lot. We have opened a new avenue for mankind. We have opened a new things for the young upcoming students and the new generation. One more thing that people would like to love their loneliness. We have started to live in our loneliness atmosphere. And one more thing, enjoyment to move out of the house, enjoyment to move in the forest, in the mountains, and along on the river belts, on the seashore. One day we will forget it. Now, of course, people love to go out so far as the tourism is concerned, but very frankly speaking, the fear is a big havoc, and I don't know how far it will remain. It will remain for 6 months, for 1 year, or 2-3 years. So, if Corona is going to be prolonged, then it will create one more problems to the Indian society. We'll lose our cultural traditions. That is also very important, because all our cultural ceremonies, all our cultural traditions, we cannot show it on this simple screen. And something which in a group we have to participate. And one person is singing at home, another person is playing sitar or playing harmonium at another place. It definitely it gives a good opportunity, but when you are on stage and people are clapping before you, that's a different environment. And students, especially our students, will not have the exposure to perform on stage and in the uh, debate competitions and all those things. One single person is speaking all alone in the room, as if I'm sitting right now in one big room along with my studio, and I'm all alone. So I'm talking to you, but really, very frankly speaking, I don't know whether you are listening to me or not. You are watching me or not. It's a big problem. So the isolation will be a big problem, one thing. Second thing, online will see the mountains, online will see the river, but practically we want to go there and we want to sit there on the bank of the rivers. That nowadays we are missing, and that is what I think I have a doubt that on small computer you cannot enjoy sounds of the peacock and sounds of the birds and the floating water sounds you can't hear on this small screen. How will give that idea to our children? It's a big and will not be able to show the different colors of the palm, different colors of the leaves. And second thing, world will be very small. It will come on your desk only. The whole world will be on your desk. So people will forget so many things, and I have a doubt about this online education. Concentration will be there, but online, because of online, people will create number of mistakes, and nobody will able to correct it online, because unless and until somebody draws my attention towards my mistakes, it will be a great opportunity. And in the classroom, my teacher does teach me so many things. That's a big question. So I think it will be a one-sided, it will be a great opportunity that we are learning a lot online, but at another side, we'll miss so many things. And if you just think deeply, you will realize it, that it will be a big problem. One day you will remember it, due to this online education, technology will be on our head. Yeah. And that's why we will miss lot many things. And second thing, sometimes we feel that educated people have not learned anything. We will have number of degrees with us, but in our isolation atmosphere, will not meet the people. And when you are in the group, you are learning a lot indirectly. So that is what we'll miss in this online education. So it will be a psychological problems, sociological problems also. And person like me in the field of archaeology, if we cannot take our students in the field for the excavation, then how will we be able to teach them? And to teach online archaeology, it's a difficult task. The same way, professors of chemistry and microbiology and medical science, how do they teach their students only online? It will not be sufficient. Second thing, engineering is also online teaching. Graphically, they can show them very smartly and beautifully. But when the welding is concerned, how do they show them? How do they have the practical experience of welding? It will be a big problem. So there are number of good things we are going to reach, but I have a doubt that online education is not the only alternative and there's something else also we have to find it out. And very soon our scientists, our educationists and our scholars will definitely find out that there are number of other opportunities also and number of other avenues also. So we can learn a lot through different mediums also, and we have to take it them. And one very important thing, person to person meeting and conversation and debate is very important while having one cup of tea at one coffee shop or at the canteen of the university, right? So these all things we are going to definitely miss. I think I have put my all thoughts and worries about the online education, and I'm really highly obliged and thank you very much. MIT has given me opportunity to meet Sushini Desai and Javier Gonzalez and Subhash Jaiswal and Anuradha and Dr. Anurad and Archana and all those things. Thank you very much for giving me opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. You might have felt that, because of the online mode, people were in an isolation. And of course, we also feel that, disconnect sometimes while teaching in the virtual class. But be assured that all of us were listening to you very keenly and very intently. You might not have been able to see our faces, but we were really, actually thinking and pondering upon the thoughts that you expressed. Thank you so much once again for your address. And now may we proceed with the session, ma'am?
Yeah, yes. Is there any question?
Right.
Or should shall we listen everybody, and at the end of the sessions we'll go for question and answer?
I think
that
let
will
us
be good thing,
follow
no?
that.
Otherwise, Sushini Desai has to say something and Anuradha also wants to say something, no? Let us listen first of all them, then we'll have question answers, right?
Yeah. Sure,
yeah.
sure.
Okay, go ahead.
We'll do this. Right. Okay. So next we have with us another dignitary on the dais, Romila Verma ma'am. And I'd like to introduce Romila Verma ma'am as innovative teacher, researcher, speaker, and author. Dr. Romila Verma is one of the leading voices on environmental issues. Dr. Verma's personal experience growing up with resource inequity in India fueled her desire to educate, research, and find creative solutions to global challenges like freshwater shortage and climate change impacts. She received recognition from India's Adi Abadi Society for her 20 plus years of teaching and research in environmental sustainability field. Dr. Verma lectures on water and environmental issues to the School of Environment and Department of Geography at the University of Toronto. She is a research affiliate with Environmental Sustainability Research Center at Brock University. She has published multiple academic reports, articles on climate change and its impacts on communities and regions. As a co-founder of Trans-Africa Pipeline, that is TAP, which is being discussed, she's working on solutions to provide clean, safe water to the residents of the Sahel region of Africa, where rising temperature due to a warming climate has resulted in absolute water scarcity. Dr. Verma has spearheaded notable research projects on climate change impacts and freshwater. Her reports detailing the increased residential, recreational, and commercial pressures impacting Lake Simako helped galvanize local citizens to take action to revive this watershed. Outside of work, Dr. Verma is an active volunteer. In her spare time, she enjoys hiking, writing short stories, painting, cooking, and above all, spending time with her family and friends. So with that introduction, now I request Dr. Romila Verma to kindly take it over from me and raise the occasion and address the audiences. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Namaste, hello, and bonjour from Canada. I am just extremely honored to be here, and I would like to thank Dr. Karad I would like to thank MIT World Peace University in Pune for hosting it, and special thank you to Dr. Suhasini Desai for helping me coordinate this presentation. So thank you very much. And just I just wanted to give you, before I launch into my PowerPoint, I just wanted to add, I have added documentary filmmaker to my CV, I guess. I have just released a documentary called Water Be Damned, which is based on a water crisis in Punjab, India. So we just released it this year. But we are here as educators, as teachers. We have the passion for teaching. And we all know, everybody present here, we know we have a huge responsibility, especially in these difficult times, right? So our youth, they are struggling, they don't know. It's an overnight change for all of them. So what we are experiencing, it's a collective global trauma that the entire world is going through. And it's not just the coronavirus, it's beyond, it's much more than that. I think it's the economy, it's the environment, education, climate change impacts, all the contamination, biodiversity loss, and the number one thing I feel is the inequity in our society. Not everybody has access to all the basic human rights that every human should have. So we are, these are challenging times and made worse with the coronavirus. But I am very positive. I feel that every time there are challenges, even in past history, humanity has always found its way through. We have always found solutions. We have always in human ingenuity, innovation, through different solutions, we have managed to come out of a lot of past crises. So I feel hopeful that moving forward, we are going to be there for our present generation, for our young people, to train them or to educate them, to nurture them, not only in innovative ideas, not only through education, but also provide them with grit and determination and resiliency and compassion. So these are the qualities that we want our young generation to have to face what's going on. So can I get the PowerPoint presentation up, please? I think
hello, technical team can get the PowerPoint presentation to be presented or displayed here.
We have make co-host to madam.
Okay.
So I can share my
okay,
screen?
you can share the presentation.
Wonderful. Okay, I am going to do that. Thank you so much. So I will be talking about online and digital learning from a Canadian perspective. I will be talking about three things: the possibilities, challenges, and reimagine is what we are doing in future. What do we envision in terms of how we are moving forward with this. Sorry. So we all know that online learning, the possibilities are endless. We heard from the other two speakers, Dr. Gonzalez and Dr. Brahmbhatt, we all seem to agree that possibilities are endless. We can learn anywhere, we can learn anytime, we can learn anything that we want. And the world is shrinking, that the world is getting smaller when it comes to online learning. So what I would like to focus on is the challenges. We all know the possibilities, they are endless, but what are the challenges I found teaching a course like environmental science teaching a course like hydrology and water. And as Dr. Brahmabhat was talking about the connectivity with nature, with outside, I was shaking my head and said, exactly, spot on. You have absolutely articulated what every educator is feeling about connectivity or the connection to the outside world. So challenges for students, let me just kind of focus on that. What I find with my group of student is the distraction. Because you are sitting in that setting where you're not directly connected with the outside world, students are easily distracted. So the work that they can do in 1 hour, they are taking more time. So that's number one thing that my students are telling me. Number two is lack of motivation. And these are because of, I guess, uncertain times. That lack of motivation has created this whole environment where students don't feel that they have to get up, and they are not getting ready. They are just kind of feeling more lazy, more, okay, I can listen to the recording later, not get up and attend the lectures. Third thing that I've seen is lack of experiential learning. So experiential learning would be, as Dr. Brahmabhat had mentioned, things like engineering, things like medical sciences, archaeology, environmental science, where I have units, where I have assignments, where I take them outside, I take them outdoors to look at the morphology of tree, or look at identification of water bodies, or even the water testing, groundwater testing. Those things you cannot do anymore. So you have to be, as a teacher, very innovative in incorporating the content. How do you then compromise, or what kind of learning tools that you develop? But in this regard, I have a more positive note. I am hoping that this lockdown is going to be transient and temporary. So I'm hoping that once the world opens, our experiential learning will restart, and we are going to reignite the same passions. The fourth thing that is again universal is inequity in technology. So access to technology is not equal, and you might think, oh, in Canada, why is it a challenge? It is a challenge. There are huge groups right here in inner cities. There are groups in isolated indigenous communities who would not have access to good bandwidth, or would not have access to fast Wi-Fi system, or connectivity problems, or even to have a designated laptop, or or iPhone for each person in the household. Even in Canada, these things we have noticed is unequal access to technology. So this is something we as global thinkers, we need to kind of focus on, is how do we address, how do we make sure that everybody has access to technology and they are not struggling to understand or log on to do assignments, to upload assignments and things like that. Another thing that for students are the assessment challenges when we talk about course development. So if they're taking a course, the assessment can be difficult for them, in the sense, now all the quizzes, all the tests that are done online, if their computer crashes, if there is, again, connectivity problem, they find that they are not able to do the assessments within a stipulated times. And also the assessment quality has changed. So instead of professors creating assignments that are quiz based, or that are that could be essay questions, things like that. So what we are doing is we are giving them more and more research papers. We are giving them assignments, and that could be very overwhelming if you're taking 4 or 5 courses in one semester. So that is another challenge that the students are talking about. And sixth is impersonal. There is no, again, connectivity with the or connection to the professor. Whereas in face-to-face class, you after the lecture is done, you just hang out with the students, answer their questions. That is not happening. So it's a more impersonal thing that the students are feeling, that they are not able to get to their professors or kind of challenge them, or to ask them questions, clarify doubts. Even with office hours, you have some, online office hours are not as much fun because everybody kind of is in that system and can listen and hear to what you have to ask. So the students are then hesitating in connecting to the professor. So these are some of the things that students have identified at University of Toronto to be some of the challenges. Now, challenges for teachers are also great, is because we had to literally switch overnight. The world, before COVID, we were thinking online is just a supplement to classroom teaching. It wasn't supposed to be the only option in terms of higher education teaching and learning, but it became suddenly overnight, and everybody had to switch within few days, understand and learn new technologies. And that became a issue because sometimes the training wasn't available. Sometimes we did not have enough time. And I want to talk about this very interesting example is when I was the first quiz that that my students took in the winter term. I had given them series of multiple choice questions and question and answer. So as I was talking to the students that the exam is starting, you have 2 hours to finish it, and they started taking the exam. So I was kind of, being mindful and watchful. And suddenly I get a text and few emails telling me, "Hey, Prof, do you know you have posted the correct answers?" So I had given them multiple choice questions and I had posted the right answers for them. So this is where I was like, okay, I tried to fix it. I couldn't, so I had to cancel the quiz, the test, and then refix it and come back to it again. So these are some of the challenges that we experience. And I have so many examples of other professors also struggling with learning new technology and then implementing it. So that was a huge issue. The second thing was the debate between asynchronous versus synchronous. So asynchronous is you take the lecture, you record the lecture, you post it online, and the students can watch it anytime they want. And synchronous was when you have a designated time. So at University of Toronto, you have 2-hour lectures in my department. So I give them a time. So I have Wednesday, 12 to 2 p.m. Every Wednesday, I will have a lecture for GGR 334. On Tuesdays, 1 to 3, I have lectures for GGR 101. So it's a designated time, which I thought worked really well, because then the students can come and basically attend the classes. So that worked very well for me. So this is the debate that is going on, whether they should have live lectures, which is also recorded. So it's win-win for everyone. So students who are not able to attend, students who are outside of Canada, global students, international students in different time zones, they can access the recording, and most of the students will attend the live lecture because that helps them to keep motivated. That helps them to join the lecture. The other thing was the content development. So that I found also to be highly challenging, is how do you develop content for your course when it's moved online? So in one of my courses, I had a lot of classroom activities. I would give them assignments and they would give them data and they would work on raw data as a group. So there is the BB Collaborate that we use at University of Toronto does have that feature where you can break them into different groups, but it doesn't work all the time as efficiently as you would want them to. Another thing was accommodating different types of learners. So as you know, there are tactile learners, there are visual learners, oral learners, reading, writing learners. So there are different kind of learners. How do you then factor that into your lectures? So if I am talking about water balance calculation, if I'm talking about geographical mapping, geomatics, it has to be done in a practical setting in a classroom. So that was a very challenging aspect where different needs, a different kind of students all have to kind of now learned through online techniques. And another point that I would like to make was the limitations of assessment criteria. So as I mentioned, for students, it was a problem. For professors, it was a problem is to design assessments that can be done online. So we had to factor in things like, okay, that they don't cheat, that they don't, ask each other what the correct answer is. So we kind of came up with more assignments, more individual research papers. So the assessment then became very limited to very one particular kind that the students would be tested for. And another big thing is the student engagement, which I think everybody had student, how do you engage student online? So I know what I did was I used to host a regular tea time, coffee time, wine and cheese parties where I would invite the students, just no lectures, just come and chat with us, just come in and talk to us. So those tea and coffee time, or chai time, that can be offered separately from lectures. And there was a lot of good student engagement during those times. So I just kind of found a different way to deal with it. So there's always a way. There's always a way you can work through the system and find ways to engage the students and their interaction. So these were the challenges of the students. So in terms of reimagine the future, what is going to happen, and what do we see as educators, the future of education? And both Dr. Gonzalez and Dr. Brahmabhat mentioned about blended learning, and here in Canada we call it hybrid learning. So it means you have both online and offline options. So post-COVID, I'm hoping that that's what the teaching and education will evolve into, where you will have both options of a blended or hybrid learning. Then we have also the challenge of incorporating experiential learning. So you see students going out, and especially in environmental science course, you're going out, you're trying to be outdoors and understand about the natural world, about the natural system. So in that case, we are hoping that we will incorporate a good amount of experiential learning into our courses. Another thing is teaching resilience and self-care. So in this case, I'm just going to move this. What we are hoping is how do we teach resilience and self-care to students? Because we have seen a lot of students are struggling with depression and anxiety, so their emotional well-being is not on the radar right now. Because I do see a lot of emails from them. I see a lot of students trying to connect with the professors or with the administrative unit of their departments or university. So emotional well-being is something that we have to mention, we have to look into as we nurture this young group of students. Is how do we teach them to be strong, to be determined, to have grit, to overcome challenges, and also focus on self-care. Unless they take care of themselves, they are not able to take care of their surroundings, of other people, of society. And those are the kind of young people that we want to see in this world. We also have to, I think what we will see in future is adaptive learning technologies. They are changing overnight. Technologies, what we were using last year, suddenly it has changed. We have a different platform with much more variety, much more innovation, much more interactive features that we are seeing. So we'll see more of that adaptation and more different kind of learning technologies that in the future that will help us with online learning. Another thing that I see is we will have more equal access to technology for all. Everybody has a right to good education system. Everybody, does not matter what part of society you belong to. So you will see that we as educational institutions will be working very hard to ensure everybody has access to quality education and access to technology. Another thing that I would like to mention is accreditation. Is how do we recognize that our students are going to the right venue? Because there are a lot of also substandard educational system that has cropped up overnight on online learning. So for students, how do they then verify what's the right source for them? How do they make sure what they're learning is actually recognized? So things like that will be talked about. There will be policies that will be developed in the education sector in future. And I see huge global collaborations happening around the world. Huge numbers, because what I'm seeing that people here in Canada, they want to know more about India. They want to learn about the Himalayas. So I'm seeing India has one very powerful thing that I'm sure you all know. We have the intellectual resource that we send out all over the world. So that intellectual resource that we as Indians have has to be harnessed, has to be taken care of, so that we become a big powerhouse in the education sector. And we can. I have full confidence in me that we will become a powerhouse when it comes to education, and not just look towards North America, or European countries, or Australia to get a good education. It can happen in India, and India can offer that solution, and India can be that powerhouse of educational hub. So I see lots of collaborations now through this online platform. So, but I'm hoping as the world open, as we get the coronavirus under control, that we are able to reimagine, we are able to co-create the system that will help us move forward with this wonderful education system for all. So let's take that as an opportunity to help us move forward. So at this point, I would like to just quickly quote so I would like to quickly quote Alvin Toffler's wonderful quotation about the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read or write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. So going back to what the other speakers were saying, if we are not adaptable, if we are not flexible, if we are not open to new innovations and ideas, then we will remain illiterate. And I have full confidence that we are not going that path. Thank you very much for indulging me and giving me this platform. Dr. Desai, do we have time to show 1 minute clip of my documentary? If not, then I can just, do we have time?
If duration is 1 minute, you can definitely show that.
Yes.
Yeah, please.
Thank you.
Please go ahead.
The first thing is that we are so disconnected from the spirituality and philosophy, the ethical aspect of water, which is actually quite a paradox because we need water. Water is life. It sustains everything on this planet, and that's why it's a blue planet. Yet at the same time, the way we treat water, we not only disregard it, I feel that sometimes we don't even see water. It's kind of an invisible thing. We take it for granted.
And with that, I end my presentation. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ramila ma'am. It was a wonderful presentation and ending on that lovely note of a 1 minute documentary. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And such a relevant topic that I think all of us must have connected with it. All right. So moving ahead with the last dignitary for the day, we have with us Dr. Alex Hankey. I'm going to introduce Dr. Alex Hunkley. He was educated at Rugby School, Warwickshire, and at Trinity College, Cambridge. Specializing in theoretical physics, he moved to MIT to do a PhD under Nobel laureate Steven Weinberg and Eugene Stanley in the area of critical phenomena. He obtained his PhD in 1972, and thereafter he authored and co-authored many papers on the same, which now have resurfaced as applications to criticality in biosystems. Working as an assistant professor at the Maharishi International University, Hankey developed unique approaches to Ayurveda, Jyotish, Sankhya, Yoga, and Vedanta. He then became visiting professor at Swami Vivekananda Yoga Anusandhan Sansthan before becoming a distinguished professor in yoga and physical sciences. He also founded the Journal of Ayurveda and Integrative Medicine and is on the editorial boards of many leading journals in the field. He's published more than 60 papers in peer-reviewed scientific journals and many expository articles for a general audience as well. Dr. Hankey lives in Bangalore, India, where he guides PhD students on yoga, meditation, and the mind-body connection and electronic measurement of holistic aspects of organism function. So with that introduction, without much further ado, we were keenly waiting for you to arrive here. So I request you to take it over from me and address the audiences. Over to you, Dr. Hankey. So I'm afraid your mic is on mute mode. So we're not able to hear you. Can you please unmute yourself?
No, we cannot hear you. Please unmute yourself. Please switch on the mic.
I have pushed unmute. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, I have a PowerPoint to show you. I want to thank you very much for that very generous introduction, Professor Padke. Can you tell me on this screen how to introduce my PowerPoint? Where do I push the right button?
Sure. So you will see share screen button in the bottom of your screen in green color. And I think the technical team will...
Yes, that's good. Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah, make the co-host, ma'am. Sir can show the PPT.
Right.
I just have to make sure I've chosen the right one to share. Good.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
This is what I wish to share with you, and I will share it full screen. So the title of my talk is The Power of the Idea, because the power of the idea is really what we are trying to communicate in any online communication. What we communicate are words, but underlying our words is the ideas that we have in our mind. And one of the main ideas that has been prominent in my own research in recent years is that the human mind encodes ideas directly. And this is actually very much in agreement with the ideas of the ancient Vedic sciences. So when I was young, I was given two books by my parents. One was called The Wonder Book of Tell Me Why, and that is science, why things happen, why things are the way they are so. And the other idea was the Wonder Book of How It's Done, and that it's technology. So science and technology were introduced to me at a very early age, and I rapidly discovered that if I asked grown-ups why something happened, why does it rain? They weren't quite sure. Some of them could say why it rained, but if I then said, why is that reason true? Only scientists and my father could, who had given me this book particularly, could understand it, could give an answer. So if you then asked why, only really top scientists can give you an answer to 3 levels. And I made myself very popular with people when I was about 5 or 6 years old by saying, why? 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 And this is where ideas really come to their limit. They have great power, but ultimately there are ultimate ideas, and they are best expressed by the very great philosophers of East and West, who I shall talk about in about 10 slides' time. So I won't waste any more of your time. But one of my own top ideas is called experience information, how the mind encodes ideas directly, as indeed Shiksha Vedanga from the ancient Vedic sciences tells us that it does. I've invented 2 major other theories, a quantum astrophysical theory of astrology and a theory of quantum Fisher information, how information is retained by water. So here is an idea which I think is quite important. There was a lady sitting in a train in England, and she was looking in the box, and the man sitting opposite her, after she'd looked in the box and closed it 10 times, said, excuse me, my lady, but what do you have in that box? And she said, I have a mongoose. She said, I'm taking it to my sister who is seeing snakes. And he said to her, but they are not real snakes. No, she said, it's not a real mongoose. So I'm glad you have your mic muted, but this is something which is a very popular joke, particularly with my friend B.N. Gangadhar, who is the ex-director, retired director of the National Institute of Mental Health and Neuroscience. It tells us there is a great power in humor, a power in a joke, a power in a story which the great guru of Western religion, Jesus, used in telling parables, as they're called. And my own guru, His Holiness Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, MMY, as I've said it here, had a lovely saying. He said, slay the tiger of the dreaming state with the arrow of the dreaming state. You don't need the arrow of the waking state to slay the tiger in the dreaming state. Equally well, the arrow of the dreaming state won't really work on the arrow of the waking state, the tiger of the waking state. But if you have a snake of an unreal kind, the thought is that you can get rid of it with a mongoose of an unreal kind because of the power of the idea. So let me tell you a very simple idea that I used to give my most successful ever maths lesson. I went on holiday some time ago with my nephew when he was about 13 or 14, and he had a terrible fear of mathematics called maths anxiety, and he just knew he couldn't do it. So I sat in the car with him and I said, look, surely you can add 3 and 5. And he said 8, and I said 33 and 35, and he said 68. And I proceeded for quite some time to ask him simple arithmetic. And then I said, but you don't have any problem with this, Hugh? And he said, no, he said, I can see the pattern. But then I said to him, and I realized I had something powerful to communicate. It's just a matter of knowing which pattern to see. And he said, is that all there is to it? I can do that. So he went from an I can't do it person to an I can do it person, because he knew the technology of how to do it, how it's done. I can do that. And that following term, he made an instant improvement from 15 to 20% marks to 75 to 80% marks. And my message is not that you can do this as teachers, but if you are teachers who have the ability to communicate a powerful idea, you can change the abilities of your students. You can give them self-confidence, and they will be able to do things that they previously found difficult. And it may be, as teachers, that you have some students who are problematic, and then you say to them, oh, you're naughty, you mustn't do that. Now, I have a dear, dear friend in Meghalaya who lives in a town east of Shillong, and she is a very much admired school teacher. She's almost 40 years old, so she's quite mature in her, experienced in her teaching, and she's the vice or whatever it is, deputy head teacher of her school. And on one occasion, a student who was generally a little difficult did something which was impossible. And at the end of the class, she said to him, please come and see me. So he came to see her, slightly as it were quaking in his shoes. And she picked out a sweet which happened to be in her pocket. And she said to him, look, I know you didn't mean to do that really, so I'm going to give you a sweet in advance for not doing it again. And he was so absolutely astounded by this act of unexpected generosity that he never did it again, and his behavior was transformed. And this is a very powerful idea. And it is the power that actually pervades a great deal of national thinking in ancient India. It's the power of compassion, the power of understanding. And compassion, as we all know, is what the Tibetans particularly emphasize. The Dalai Lama is very fond of talking about compassion, but compassion in Sanskrit is the word karuna, and karuna gives the word care. It gives us carus in Latin, caritas, the idea of charity. It gives us the religious concept of charity, and it is the idea of actually underlying the nature of the Guru, even in modern India, who is referred to as Karuna Vataram, the embodiment of compassion. So here is an action which embodies a concept and a feeling from the heart of really immense power. So I want to tell you a little bit more about the idea of the pattern, which I gave through the experience of my dear nephew, Hugh. There is a book called Vedic Mathematics, written from his disciples, published it in 1961, is by the late Shankaracharya of Puri, who had already died. And he provides 32 sutras and upasutras, which provide various alternative ways to do calculations, so that the student can look at it and can say, oh, I can do it this way. And one of the things I know about mathematics and mathematics teaching, that when it comes to doing arithmetic or algebra or simultaneous equations and trigonometry and geometry and Cartesian geometry and so on, Everything depends on doing a calculation in a fixed, prescribed way, and you give your pupils no choice. But if you learn to teach mathematics with Vedic mathematics, at every step of the you are giving the pupils choice. They're given the choice of seeing which is the most economical, efficient, and best way to do the calculation, and they love it. And that means that in the end, they love doing the calculations. It's applied in all areas of high school mathematics and to chip design very successfully in the design of computers. It makes mathematics fun. It removes maths anxiety. It was the subject of my PhD student, Vivi Shastri's, who is another deputy head teacher, was teaching in the town of Chikmagaluru or Chikmagalur, which is famous for other reasons I needn't remind you. Then there is a wonderful, wonderful concept which was put forward by the famous economist, Nobel Prize winning economist, John F. Nash, whose biographical film was called A Beautiful Mind. It was brought out in 2001, and Russell Crowe, no less, played the role of John F. Nash. And he is pictured in Princeton as a graduate student, and one person comes up to him, one of his fellow students, because he's looking terribly serious. And he says, "A penny for your thoughts, John. What are you looking for?" And he said, "I am looking for the key idea in developing economics." And he was in games theory, which was invented by the famous mathematician and physicist Johnny von Neumann, also for a time at the Institute for Advanced Study. And the key idea was that collaboration outperforms competition. And this was a new theorem in theory. And the result of this idea of collaboration was that it led to the founding of the European Coal and Steel Community after the war. The Second World War in 1946-47. It led to the founding of the Common Market 10 years later, and the European Economic Community, and eventually the European Union, which is the second most powerful trading bloc on the planet. And so it has immense power. The key idea has completely transformed the Western world, and it led to the founding particularly of the Organization of European Economic Cooperation, OEEC, which gave rise to the famous organization OECD, which my father was involved in the founding of in 1960-61. So the key idea in understanding biological regulation is governed from instabilities. The locus of control is at an instability. Instabilities are very strange animals. I studied them in my PhD thesis at MIT, the other MIT, and I wrote a thesis on critical instabilities of higher order. It turns out that these are now key in understanding the details of biological regulation. You can use this idea to prove that all organisms are holistic. The whole structure of biology is holistic, like health, which means wholeness. It comes from the integrated wholeness of each organism. And consciousness uses the kind of information embedded in instabilities to the kind of information present at instabilities is the information used by consciousness, and it is encoding ideas. It encodes the process of self-observation, the seeds of forms, and forms are what the great Greek philosopher Plato called ideas. It's the foundation for awareness, and the other form of information that I discovered is the secret of holy water, which is blessed and available in temples. And this is the kind of information which is coded in liquid water. It's not digital information, which requires a stable substrate. Water is an unstable substrate. It can't encode digital information. So materialists for many years thought that holy water was a very impossible idealistic concept and was obvious nonsense, but it isn't. This work shows you that there is a definite information structure in liquid water, which is called quantum Fisher information. So here we have this whole idea of the human cognition of ideas. Plato, I've mentioned. Descartes, in his great formulation, starts with saying that he was describing ideas. Roger Penrose, who just won the Nobel Prize in Physics, is actually a Platonist and is very interested in how consciousness supports ideas. Gestalt psychology uses gestalts. It was turned into a psychiatric system by the British psychiatrist Gordon Allport. And so you have the idea of gestalts, and that is the form of psychology which uses ideas as the primary entity.
I'm sorry for interrupting, sir.
Okay, Dr. Hanky, Asavari has got a message for you. Hello.
Yes, I will be happy to finish.
Yeah, please conclude. Yeah.
The world of ideas is in yoga, which I've taught for many years, called the Chit Akash. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Yoga Sutras 1, Pada 1. Sutra 2 is a definition of yoga. The world of all ideas is called not the Chittakash, but the Chidakash, which is accessible through the process of meditation in the state of Ritambhara Pragya, Yoga Sutras 148. I could talk about the Mahavakyas, I shall refrain. The great ideas of East and West, they can be compared, and in Sanatana Dharma, which is the key to the future of mankind, the goal and the purpose of life, the great idea is that the goal of life, said Swami Vivekananda, is to become divine. We are all on a path where we can become free of this world, we can leave it behind, and that is the greatest idea of all. Thank you very much for listening. I'm now escaping this. I hope to remove this somehow, give you all back what you deserve to have, which is this screen. Thank you very much. I apologize for
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Minutes over.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hanky. Thank you so much. Due to paucity of time, we couldn't, engage more. But I'm sure we could reconnect on next occasion. All right. So now that we are heading towards closure, as the tradition goes, we'll have a resolution at the end of this conference that I request all the participants to vote for if they believe in. And I think you'll be able to see it on screen, and you'll also be able to vote for it. Yes, here it is, right in front of you. You'll have options to either vote for it or against it. And I request you to kindly appeal to your rational thought and vote as per your conscience for the resolution. We, the teachers of 4th National Teachers Congress 2020, appeal to the government and HRD ministry to effectively harness digital infrastructure for inclusive education by introducing comprehensive policy for the underprivileged and marginalized. All those who are in favor may say ayes.
Yes, 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 yes.
Great, great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for showing us support in large numbers.
Yeah.
Without wasting time, I'm going to quickly request Professor Datta Dange to kindly propose a formal vote of thanks. Professor Dange is a professor at School of Chemical Engineering. Over to you, Professor Dange.
Yes. Thank you, Asauri. Am I audible?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I will go ahead.
Yes.
Thanks again. This was very wonderful session, and thanks all of you. Thanks Desai Madam. Thanks Chitni Sir for giving me opportunity to propose vote of thanks for this very important and I must tell you most eagerly awaited session, because online and digital teaching and learning, this is what we are doing day in and day out, and we are going through lots of problems. We are coming up with our own solutions, but we wanted to hear from experts like you what the life is like in online learning. And thanks for confirming our own experiences and suggesting some ways out also. So thank you, Professor Gonzalez, Professor Subhash Brahmabhat, Professor Robila Verma, and Dr. Alex Hanke. All of you are teachers, all of you are experienced teachers, and you touched so many aspects. You know, I couldn't have imagined such a fuller definition of a comprehensive definition of coverage. You touched on pedagogical aspects, you touched on social, psychological aspects of online learning, you touched upon student side challenges and teacher side challenges. And finally, you ended with spiritual aspects of learning and teaching. You know, it couldn't be fuller than this. But specifically speaking, these are the takeaways I have noted down. In a 2 minutes time given to me, I will just summarize the session. Professor Gonzalez, I highly appreciate you differentiated between online teaching and self-paced learning. Our teaching is not same as students learning. Thanks for reminding us about that. And you also told us how to adapt for more interactivity in online teaching. I especially appreciate, collaborative tools that you mentioned, especially like case studies. And you also reminded us that though it has posed lots of challenges, online learning has made internationalization of education more cheap and more possible. We will keep this lesson in mind. Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez, for saying all this to us. Coming to Professor Subhash Brahmabhat, sir, first of all, thank you for recognizing that preparation has become difficult and more challenging for teachers for online teaching. We used to go into the class and start our teaching. Now, no more so. For 1 hour teaching, I have to prepare at least for 3 hours, anticipate all kinds of things. And thanks for recognizing that challenge. And then you specifically reminded, sir, and it speaks of your seniority also, that ownership of learning has specifically passed on to students. In spite of whatever efforts that we take, it is now students recognize, more severely than before that it is their ownership to learn. And that is why what is required is more karuna, in Alex Hanke's words, more empathy on teacher side, more empathy on all of us side, to be equal to the challenge that is posed. So thanks, sir, for reminding us about the sensitivity that is what we are missing in this COVID days. I was touched by your mention of Song of Birds, sir.
Yes, Song of Birds. Yes.
So nice of you. I mean, I tell you, this 1 year gap, though we decide to delete it from our lives, we talk about it, but after we go back to the life as before, life will not be same as before. We will be more sensitive about meeting each other. We will be valuing outside experiences, simple trees, and bird songs, as you correctly said. And live experience of life, we will value it more. We had been taking it for granted, sir. You reminded us that don't take it for granted. And this is one big away from COVID days.
Thank you, sir, for saying that. And thank you also for reminding us that your student, though he may be learning, he can get isolated in this online learning. So be more sympathetic towards him, talk to him. And I also appreciate, sir, that you have mentioned that there might be some Indian pattern of online teaching that is emerging in the process. We will be very happy to share with you, sir. There are many experiences which we never had before. Romila madam, communication experiences. I must tell you, the students who were not communicating very well in my class, now they can communicate better because somehow they have learned this art of talking on phone. Pick up phone. There are WhatsApp groups. And I must tell you, this entire communication has changed. Whatever doubts they have, they just write it on paper. And we have WhatsApp informal groups of learning. And this, as my lecture is on, they post their problems after writing them down. And they post them on WhatsApp group. So everyone sees what, I mean, this was not possible before. There's on common WhatsApp group, they draw drawings, they draw problems. They say, this is where I went wrong in the step. And entire class starts discussing it. This never happened before. So there are more opportunities coming up, sir. But then thanks to entire panel that you sensitize us to these opportunities and you taught us how to deal with them. Romila madam, thanks a lot. You said it couldn't be more complete than your slides. Student side challenges and teacher side challenges. I couldn't have imagined it so elaborately. You can go to the chat box and see every teacher is appreciating your presentation because you are teacher, isn't it? You are not only philosopher. You are teaching day in and day out. As a small hint, like why not to have coffee meet on the net with students? That is student engagement. Engagement does not have to be technical always. We can meet over coffee outside our schedule. What a nice suggestion it is, madam. Thanks for, and I thank you, madam, for holding the promise. That India holds promise. In internationalization, India holds promise. Everyone is interested because we have diversity, we have technological problems, we have all kinds of diversities, and how our teachers are facing them and getting solutions out of them. We have to share them with the world, and world has also become more accessible. I'm talking to professors in US and Canada, and they are more accessible to come online and talk to my students. That is a new experience. This was not possible, madam, before. So thanks for sensitizing us to basically reimagining possibility and co-creating possibility. These are all great words. Please share your presentation with all us, our teachers, and that will be very nice, madam. Very constructive thinking that you shared with us through your actual experience. Finally, I thank Dr. Alex Hankey, who has become more Indian than us Indians in his thinking. I thought I am from US and he is from India. Only color can differentiate who is who. But when it comes to thinking, Dr. Alex, hats off to you. You have reminded us of our great tradition, especially Vedantic tradition. Your idea of encoding, mind encodes ideas directly is a slightly occult thought. In a brief span of 10 minutes, I think you couldn't explain it to us properly, but do share your PPT with us and we will go through it. I think what you are asking us to do is, can student understand directly, by bypassing the cognitive effort. I think you are hinting at that.
Thank you.
Vedantic tradition. Thanks for reminding us of our own tradition as teachers. And again, I thank all the wonderful panelists and participants, and I thank management for giving the opportunity. Thank you, and very good evening. And very good.
I would have one last comment, summing up comment.
Yes.
Really give a big round of applause to MIT University because they have organized wonderfully this conference. And I have never seen such a wonderful sessions because I have attended 3-4 conferences, but the first time I have seen that mark to mark, dot to dot, and everything goes smooth and very nicely conducted. The opening by Ashavari and closing by Datta Dange. Really, congratulations to you all and good luck to MIT staff. You are doing wonderful job. Keep it up. Keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you so much. On behalf of MIT World Peace University, I'm really thankful to each one of you. And let us take our relation ahead. Let us remain connected. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Nobody would have imagined the session ending on such a bright and enthusiastic note, that too in a virtual format. So we have come to a formal closure of the session.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
A quick announcement about the sessions that are to follow up. So tomorrow we are beginning at sharp 10:15, and at 12 p.m. there's a teacher to teacher connect. We also have parallel sessions running tomorrow at 2:30. One on school education and the other is on the higher education. All the links are available on our website, that is www.nationalteacherscongress.com. So I request everybody once again to participate in large numbers like today, probably in greater numbers tomorrow, and hope to see you on time. Stay connected. Till then, a very good night.
Thank you. Yeah.